Unfuckwithable in every way. Unfuckwithable. That's John Willis today. Talk to us about your shirt, John.
You should do Hallmark cards, the Audible ones.
Yeah.
And you should do Christmas songs. Unfuckwithable. That's our shirt for this week, and that I think it says it all, right? It doesn't matter what they're doing because we're not doing it. Let them do. I'm not participating in your reindeer games, so nothing you do affects me. So I'm just going to do what I want to do.
Awesome. And for those of you joining the live stream, please do us a favor, share out that we're live, give us a like. Let's get these algorithms going. We're transmitting on 3 channels today: Permapastures, SOE, LFTN. What is new with you, Billy Bond?
Well, just glad that I made it here in time. Here I am with all my friends. How about that? Here high atop Billy's Jungle Palace of Love. Beautiful late summer day, no complaints. Actually looking at the chickens, the sheep, the cow, the pigs are over there. Everybody's gone. It's like I think they're doing this on purpose. Michelle and William are gone. They're out picking up the rental vehicle for this weekend coming up. And as of late, every interview I've been a part of that they would normally do all the work for, they haven't been here. So I'm starting to see a pattern. When I interviewed Jack Spearco, they weren't here. The guy from Van Tesla, they weren't here. John, they weren't here. And I'm like, every time I turn around, I'm starting to realize that they want me to sort of learn this tech. And I'm still not crazy about it.
I need you to stricken something from your vocabulary. Am I live here?
Yeah.
You're with me.
Okay, I'm looking at a different screen. You are no longer a Luddite. I didn't even know what the fuck Luddite meant. You're not allowed to say that anymore. You are now going to be tech capable. You have to.
You are the story you tell yourself.
They're forcing me into it. And you know what? Honestly, John, it's funny when I hear you talk about your story, how you kind of went down this rabbit hole of, okay, preparedness to the nth degree. I did exactly the same thing. And then I think the last little piece of it, because both of you two have helped me more to grow probably than any. Look, I'm not trying to get all broke back on everybody here, but honestly, you two have helped me grow in ways that I didn't even know possible until I had the great pleasure of actually meeting you. My life's been turned upside down in a positive, in the best way, in really the best way. Business has gotten better. My relationships have gotten better. My health has gotten better. Don't be jealous, John, but everything is getting better because you know what? I now have a new, I now have a new association with people that I didn't even know existed, where it's okay to be a high achiever, where it's okay to be a person that wants more out of life, a person that's okay. And it's really a joy to be around you guys and the people y'all have introduced me to. But the last little thing of all this, John, is getting over being a Luddite, being a willful Luddite. That's the last thing I'm getting over.
So the beauty of it is it's all like apps now, right? We don't have to know how to code. We don't have to copy and paste stuff anymore. It literally, if you can play a video game, you can do social media. Like it all is like, it's all the same format of Facebook and Instagram. There's nothing to it. I love the interview with Joel the other night too.
Yeah. Speaking of which, weird phenomenon happened with you and Joel. The second you and I started talking about some of the esoteric, things started getting weird. And then when Joel and I started talking about the esoteric, things started getting weird. I'll have to tell you about that in person. I'm not sure I want to say it online here right now, but every single time I decided with you, I was like, okay, I know John can easily handle these topics. And then all of a sudden, weird things start happening that William noticed when he looked at it. And then the same exact thing happened with Joel the second we started talking about that. So I don't know if we're going to get into the esoteric today, so we should be cool.
Hey, speaking of esoteric, I brought on Ken Eash today. So Ken Eash, y'all may not remember who he is, but the person running the sound at the last Self Reliance Festival, and the only reason we even had a stage is Ken Eash. And so when he applied to give a talk at Self Reliance Festival, I was like, right on, because he's got a lot going on, and he actually does not mind going into the esoteric. Ken, why don't you say hello and just tell us a little bit about what you think you're going to be doing at Self Reliance Festival?
Well, first off, I want to make sure everybody knows, contrary to what John thinks, I'm not sitting on a toilet. This is the stairway that I've been working on. So, I'll be talking at Self Reliance Festival about bridging the personality gap. Because if there's one thing that we've learned throughout the last couple Self Reliance festivals, Nicole's gone a lot into the building community thing. And with that aspect, it always involves people. And when you have people involved, you've got personalities. So I'll be going into how to kind of bridge that personality gap to create stronger relationships personally, professionally, romantically. We're going to be talking about all of that.
Peopling.
Yep.
Peopling.
Amanda Willis, thank you for liking and sharing. We can always count on Amanda.
And Ken builds stuff. His shirt should say, "I build shit."
I build shit.
You got 10 days to build it to make the shirt, John.
Yeah.
He's expecting it now.
Well, I'm wondering when you talked about romantically, I want to know, because there's a whole lot of people that are game deficient out there. Not everybody out there has a PhD in pimpology like John. And I'm wondering what you meant by that. I want to know what you meant by in terms of romantically.
Well, I mean, we did see your 12 best pickup.
We're talking about how to relate better with other people.
Well, Billy recently did a 12 best pickup lines. So you can watch that video and maybe incorporate that into your game.
See if you can pick up your wife with
one.
Hey,
there we go. I have to go check it out.
Hey, just wait about a year from now. If some of the prognosticators of doom, they get their way, and I think there's a lot of people actually hoping for such a thing. They get their way. Don't worry. Those pickup lines, they're going to work like nobody's business.
I don't know that there's people actually prepared that are hoping for that. I know people think that they want that to happen. I guarantee my boy Jacob Herman definitely wants that to happen, and he'll be fine. But I think most people haven't really thought that out.
So have what happen? I missed the
collapse of society.
Oh, collapse of society. Yes.
A lot of them are the same dudes calling AAA.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a rumor out there that the 24th or 25th of this month, it's going to get stupid. Things are going to be, wow, I didn't know I had a good radio voice. No, I'll tell you, he has a great radio voice. I'll tell you, he has a great voice all the way around. It's bare independent. I sit here and listen to the interview you guys do with this guy. I got to link up with him because, I mean, hey, y'all, I'm going to say it straight, man. He has one of those mesmerizing voices, man, that'll just put you to sleep if you wanted to. I'm like, dude, I know next time I see him, dude, if he's at the Self Reliance Festival, he's a furry dude anyway, dude. If you could probably, he looks like Winnie the Pooh if he took his shirt off. I could probably.
He's been working out, man. I've been seeing his workout videos.
No,
good for him.
Dude ain't hard as I'm not saying he's not hard as 3 times 9, but I hear that dude's voice and I'm thinking, man, he really ought to be doing radio work, man. He's just got one of those soothing voices, and his way of communicating is just, I don't know, it just hits you to the bone, man. I'm a big fan.
I think with your radio background, we should probably do like a ladies' man broadcast. The ladies' man.
Hey, we already got that.
Give some young bucks some coaching on what to do because nobody ever told them what to do.
Yeah, it's called the Permaculture Pimpcast.
It's called Ask. Ask is a good first step, right?
There you go. But no, hey, Ken brought up the romance, so you see where this all leads, man.
Yeah, so circling back to Ken. Ken, how did you even get involved in this whole prepper world, if you're still here?
Says I'm seeing muted.
Back in about 2016. Can y'all hear me good? I had to move around. My connection's a little wonky, I guess.
Yeah.
So back in about 2016, I started seeing things going south. I think it was with the whole Malheur Wildlife Preserve out in Oregon was where I first started kind of being like, okay, I was thinking there's going to be a civil war and all that. Started listening to Alex Jones and going deep into that rabbit hole, and moved out to the country in Kentucky. Fortunately, I found a voice of reason, Jack Spirko, who kind of brought me back to earth and learned to just do what I can do. Do what you can with what you've got where you're at. So that calmed me down a little bit, but that was kind of the whole entry into the trying to get prepared space.
Awesome. And how long did it take you to go from frantic Alex Jones mode to building the life you want on your terms, or building a better life if times get tough, or even if they don't? I just did the wrong tagline there first.
Well, I mean, once I found the voice of reason, not long, because I mean, I knew when I heard it that, yeah, this makes a lot of sense because you're not going to do everything all at once, which I try to do that even to this day. You know, got 27 different projects going, and they're all a percentage of the way done and moving on to the next thing already because I see that next shiny object I got to finish. But once you hear that voice of reason, if you know what it is that you're looking for and the kind of life you want to live, it really does center you a lot. So it really didn't take long to just come back down to earth on that.
Yeah, Evan Dixon says that's about the right story arc for the prepper's journey. I came to it from a totally different place, but I'm a girl, so maybe it's just a girl thing. I don't know.
But with that said, Oregon kind of is in a civil war sometimes.
It has been for a long time.
And Alex Jones, most of his shit is right.
I'm right there with you. I'm thinking, you know, there's a point where the titration actually has to go the other way, where you're overwhelmed. Okay, so you take me as a former soldier, and then I find out all of a sudden years later that everything I thought I knew was a lie. And so you have this overwhelming, you distrust everything and maybe even everybody. And for the longest time, if it weren't for William, honestly, nobody would know who I am. I was honestly to the point where I'm like, okay, made enough money, I can retire at 48. And actually, it was before that. I was going to retire at 45. And he talked me into doing this, got out of radio, got out of everything I was doing. And I was content to go into that good night and really not give two fat rats about anybody else. But what a colossal mistake that would have been. Really. I mean, honestly, because I look at where I am right now and how my life has changed just over the last 6 months, where I would have never had the benefit. I was just telling Michelle today, Nicole, had I not gone to that first
Back to the Land
festival, which I didn't want to go to, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I would have never met you. Had I not even gone there, I would have never had the opportunity to meet John. Had I not gone there, I would have never had the opportunity to meet Jack Spearco. Had I not gone there, I would have never had all these other opportunities open up to me and meet people that in a normal world, I would have never had the benefit of meeting. So despite what these prognostications of doom are, whether it's the 24th, the 30th, or next month, next year, I'm not going to let these people have more ownership over my life than they have before. So those of you that are emailing me, just a little side note, telling me that you're concerned about this, look, you just let the enemy win if that's what you're going to do. I go there and I go prepared. Okay, if I go out of town, guess what? I got extra gas cans with me. I got a firearm. I got multiple firearms. So I got all those things, and I got a way back home. So if you're thinking that you're not going to go to the Self Reliance Festival or whatever else, then just stay home if you're going to be that fearful, because honestly, you don't know what you're passing up. You don't realize the friends you're going to make, the people you're going to meet. And like I said, ever since my first time going there, it was life-changing for me. It really was. Everything about my life has changed immeasurably. My business is off the chart. My health is off the chart. My friendship is off the chart. My attitude is off the chart. And I'm meeting people like Ken that I didn't even know existed. And I'm hearing my man talk, and it's just giving me joy. So back to you, Ken. Sorry, I didn't mean to monologue so long.
I don't know. I mean, Ken looks like he decided to log in differently, and he's now in his van.
My connection, I don't know what's going on with it. I've tested it how many times this morning. I've got full bars of, supposedly good service. But hey, when you're talking with good people about good stuff, what happens? Everything goes south.
Everything goes south. It does totally. Okay, so after you became more prepper-minded, I think you kind of come from a background of prepper-minded cultures, though, don't you?
Maybe not so much prepper-minded. I mean, kind of a way of life. I've got Amish background on both sides of the family. So, I mean, agricultural, farming, all of that is in my background. I didn't necessarily grow up in ag. We always had animals growing up, but it's kind of just a way of life. And, helping mom in the garden. I hated that. Canning, doing all the things, processing the animals. So it's kind of a way of life. You come full circle, I guess. Back to the roots.
Yeah, I mean, I've found since being in the homesteading and prepper space, I end up interacting with a lot of Mennonites and Amish people. for some reason. And so there's something about that mindset of taking care of yourself and your community and being prepared that must overlap well. I don't know if it's that or that my original people were Mennonite, but that was something I didn't expect when I started a podcast. So, and then you're like my hookup for all the good craftsmen. That's how that works. I'm like, I can't get somebody to do, roofing, guttering, leveling somebody's shed on their property and blocking it. And Ken's like, well, I have a cousin over in, Timbuktu who you can call. And that's always kind of cool.
So were you Amish?
Ken didn't hear that.
So was he Amish?
No,
I don't think. Yeah, there he is.
No, I didn't grow up Amish. I grew up Mennonite. So, but I do have a lot of Amish family, and I've got family all over. Nicole knows. Everywhere she goes, I'm like, oh, hey, I've got family there. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, David Willis says you were definitely on the toilet.
Definitely.
Definitely. Okay, so when you go, so you're going to talk about why are you so interested in bridging different personalities? Why do you think that's important for us to know?
Well, I mean, everything in life has to do with relationships. You're always dealing with people. And there's a line from the movie Cool Runnings where he said, people are always afraid of what they don't understand. And when you deal with people that aren't like you, you don't understand them. And so it can lead to frustrations. Hey, I've been married almost 15 years, and I know how frustrating the other person can be when you don't understand the perspective they view life from. So I dove into the personality things. I had an opportunity to go take a certification for DISC, which is a deep dive on the different personalities, because it really interested me. So now I try to use that in my relationships and my business. I mean, just across the board. It's one of those things that struck my fancy, and so I ran with it.
I gotta know, Ken, as a Mennonite, how did you ever watch Cool Runnings, bro? Aren't you guys? Are you allowed to watch TV?
Well, it depends. There's a lot of different varieties of Mennonites, I guess. All the way from horse and buggy Mennonite to you wouldn't even know that they were anything related to Amish. So there's a whole spectrum of them across the board. Well, and I guess we fell somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how sort of this evolution happens where we kind of panic prep or we're scared and we go down the deep rabbit holes of conspiracy theories. And then we come out of it and realize, hey, I can be prepared and build a life that's great. And I don't have to be stuck in this other place of fear. And then next thing you know, you start a business. And then next thing you know, you're like, spiritually and mentally, maybe I need to work on that. And then physically, I need to work on that because it's not just about storing MREs and hiding under a rock and learning how to use a gun. So it's almost everybody we talk to has sort of gone through those things. And so I think we have to be careful sometimes when we meet people who are in step 1 and 2 to bring them over into those other steps rather than make fun of them for what we used to do if we're honest with ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, Anithi is in the house, everybody. Sorry, she joined the comments. Neethi's going to be there too.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see her.
Yep.
You talk about, man, somebody that can get you fired up, man. Boy, I'm telling you what, Neethi, I don't care who you are. I mean, if you got a pulse and you spend 5 minutes in a room with her, I'm telling you what, man, you'll be shouting from the rooftops, man. She is definitely one of a kind.
You'll be tired.
You'll be tired, but you'll be ready to go start your next thing.
Right. Yep. But her, I don't know that I've ever met so many people in one place like a Self Reliance Festival where their passion is infectious and it's contagious too. Just like, just like I was talking about the other day, as far as the contagion, that can be a good and a bad thing. Like the other day when I interviewed John on my channel, his the contagion that came to me was the shadow banning from YouTube.
Thanks for the shadow ban, man.
No, it's all good, man. It's it's like a STD that ain't so bad,
Eric, the meetup, we're having something called Self Reliance Festival. It's at selfreliancefestival.com for tickets. $75 if you buy them today. And that's in Camden, Tennessee, which is about an hour south-ish of Nashville. And how many? About 2 hours from Memphis?
Yeah, about.
Yeah, so you'll end up driving there. There's tent camping on site included. You end up having to cover your own food. We've actually I think we're adding a third food vendor. I think a food truck's coming and doing some hamburgers and some other cool stuff. I will have confirmation on Friday about that. They've said they're coming. I just need them to finish signing up. And he said he was going to sign up on Friday. So we'll have all sorts of pulled pork from Andy. We will have sushi and a whole bunch of other fun stuff at Big Daddy's gas station right at the entrance. And then, of course, this new food truck. And the food truck guy talked to Andy to make sure they don't serve the same thing. So there's going to be a lot of variety this time.
Who's the food truck? What's their menu look like? What are they?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't have the menu. I'll have it Friday, and then I'll talk about it. But that's what they're working out to complement Andy. And he said if he can hook into water, it's helpful, but he doesn't have to. And we're planning to put him right next to Andy.
We can put him in water.
Yeah, I figured. I need to get a couple pressure reducers for your hose spigots between now and then.
We could submerge that whole truck. No, I've got some inline chlorine filters that'll reduce the pressure. Perfect.
Yeah, Neethi says, Eric, you need to show up, brother. Yeah, and then you need to talk to Neethi for 20 minutes, and you will shoot off into the sky, and then you can talk to Ken about how to do that without annoying people by learning how to bridge the gap of personality.
Hey, Neethi,
there you go.
She's not entirely correct there. She says, I think John Willis makes you more tired than me. Only if you're trying to keep up with him physically. Because I was as tired as all get out. And I'm like, man, I was wanting to talk to John about something, but he's over there picking weeds. So I guess I better go pick weeds to talk to him. Next thing I know, there's probably 10 other people over there picking weeds. And I'm like, okay, I'm not that tired anymore. I guess being more physical kind of put the brakes on that. But no, Neethi, you make me tired in a good way. And you're a joy.
Yeah, if you're going to talk to John Willis, you better be walking with John Willis because he's not going to stop moving to talk to you.
Well, I just have things to do. I mean, if I can stand there in the gravel and talk, I can easily kneel down and pull the weed. I mean, I'm going to do that anyways. That's going to happen, whether I'm doing it while I'm standing talking or I'm doing it, at 4 a.m. It's still going to happen.
Yeah. So somebody said, I need to get back into the world Ken's world about bridging the gaps. Here's the thing. I thought about you, Ken, this weekend because I went to a part of the country that's a lot more left leaning. And so it's a lot about Black Lives Matter signs in all the stores and lots of consideration of environmental things. So there's compost everywhere and recycling everywhere, which are good things, right? Those are not bad things. And they're asking me what I do. And of course, I'm all focused on Self Reliance Festival. And some people went to the website and then they came back to me and said, what do you mean by the coming collapse? Now, there are two ways to answer this question.
You're in it.
You're in it, right? I said, I don't think anybody can argue that our economic system is failing and it is transitioning to something else. And as part of that, it's very easy to get lost in the collapse. And so what we're doing at Self Reliance Festival is empowering people to develop hard skills and the flexibility to navigate what is happening next. Because it's either happening next year or it's happening within 10 years. But we are in the midst of a time of great change, which is both terrifying and exciting. If you live in the terror through this transition, you're going to have a hard time. If you find a way to find it exciting and go with the flow, which we have somebody talking about flow at the Self Reliance Festival too, it can really help. And bridging that personality gap and bridging philosophical gaps, I think, is an important skill. Because just because somebody doesn't think just like me doesn't mean I can't talk to you or we can't help each other.
You know what? Let me just jump on this real quick because you brought up Black Lives Matter. Let me put a twist on that. Black locusts matter. In fact, we're going to show just how much they matter the day before the Self Reliance Festival when we're out there with John. My wife is actually going to be there. And the only reason she's going is because of John's wife and because of Nicole and because of the entertainment that's going to be there. But yeah, we're going to show why black locusts matter and why mimosas matter and why guilds matter and why fruit trees matter all the day before when we're doing a guild class. So John, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're actually going to be getting a 2-for-1 in a class like that, right?
Man, they'll get a 10-for-1. even if you have no interest, I know I keep saying this, but even if you have no interest in swales, just to be there the night before, because all the speakers are going to be there. You're going to have access to people that you're going to get, a sliver. You're going to watch a lecture and you're going to get, 10, 15 minutes of time. But coming the day before, you're going to get, we hang out here at night. We go eat and everybody hangs out until I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed, get out, right? Midnight.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk about this one. So, Sandy, the not so great reset. So, the great reset is something that when we hear it described, if you are freedom minded, that ticks you off. Like, it's terrifying to think of all the controls they can put in place. But I look at the great reset, and what I'm seeing is a variety of different ideas of where we can go, all in competition right now. So I'm really excited when I see the network growing of freedom-minded people who want to empower individuals like we have at Self Reliance Festival, because I see that's one of the conflicting things with the Great Reset, right? It's empowering people and people having better lives and able to take action without always having to ask permission. So the Great Reset is not awesome from a philosophical standpoint, but I'm not sure they're going to win. Ken, do you want to say something before you sign off? Have we gotten your mind working on anything as a result of all this chatter?
Yeah, just join in, do it, go do the thing. I mean, forget about the Great Reset. It doesn't matter. Just do your thing. It's all that matters is taking action. I mean, figure out the direction you want to go and take one step in that direction. Don't worry about the end result, because if you keep making consistent steps, you'll get there.
Yep. Okay, Ken, thanks for joining us. I'm going to bring in Brian, who's going to do the Vortex tea brewer. So we're going to learn what that is next. Thanks for being on, Ken.
You bet.
Back to what Nicole had said. Go ahead, Brian.
That's okay. You go ahead, John. I'm going to let a cat out of my studio.
Back to what Nicole had said about, people going, hey, what is this Self Reliance Festival thing? It doesn't matter what side you view yourself on, left, right. You can open any conversation if you're trying to win somebody over. I think we can all agree our electric bills are almost doubled. Mine's up $1,000 a month, my electricity bill, and my food bill is up. It's literally it's close to triple right now, and we're getting lesser quality things than we were getting, and it's costing 3 times as much. I think that holds true for every U.S. citizen that is actually paying any of their own bills, right? So we don't even have to go, hey, it doesn't matter what president, it doesn't matter Democrat, Republican. Would you like to, produce some of your own food? Would you like to have the capability to rely on yourself and not have to eat, cricket flour or the U.S. stamped meat that's actually coming from Nigeria, right? Would you like to know where that comes from?
Yep. And the Self Reliance Festival is in Camden, Tennessee. And definitely get out there in person if you can. If you can't, there are digital tickets. You just go to selfreliancefestival.com, click on digital tickets. They cost more than being there in person. Why? Because video production and live streaming ain't cheap. That's why. I've got a lot of email about that. I'm like, listen, that's what it costs. So
there's so much more on top. If you can't come here with the people that are here and within a 5-minute conversation, figure out some way to make $75, you're probably in the wrong place. Like you need to go someplace else.
Yep. Okay, so we've got Brian Norton here from Food Forest Farms, who's coming out all the way from Washington State.
Hey, how's my audio? Is this okay?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if these earbuds would work. That's why I freaked you out.
Well,
and dropped off.
You get kudos for making a cell phone audio work with anything but the built-in mic on screen.
Okay, so it's 32-hour drive, so same as
you're driving
going to Jack's. That's okay. If you go back and look at my channel, I talked about in the early spring, you can't fight the globalists when they say we're gonna fuck gasoline. I hear them. I had a 16-mile-a-gallon Dodge Journey. I now have a brand new Kia Niro that's 54 miles a gallon. It drives itself. So just the gas that I'm not going to pay to come down and back is going to make 3 months of that car payment. And I'm going to write the trip off, right? Because I'm coming to promote my farm and clearly make connections for the business. So it is, I get to write off 58 cents a fucking mile. Yeah, I'm in.
It's 60 something now. It's like
Oh, yeah, I forget. Yeah. The bean counters do that shit. I just give
they
them the
raised
books.
it halfway through the year, which did not make me sad. Okay,
Well,
so you're coming out and you're bringing your house with you, right? You can sleep in your van, but you can also hang a hammock at the compound if you want to.
the hammock off the back of the car is great. Yeah. I am going to, so I'm going to stop by the last Home Depot on the route and pick up all the parts for this Vortex tea brewer.
What is Vortex tea? Tell us, like, a lot of us don't know what in the world you're talking about.
Okay. So this is so perfect because John's planting swales, right? And you guys are doing a fruit tree thing, I think, planting the day before. This is, okay, so they all swirl together. Korean natural farming, right? Kind of where you're making compost teas from the natural environment that's currently around your place that's doing good. So you just make more of the doing goodness. But how do you make like a million X of it for damn near free? I used to do commercial growing, you know that, and I judge the business on the net fucking dollar, not the gross, not the net, right? So if I spend zero on inputs and my gross, right, it becomes my net. Or I can go buy the Holland finisher fertilizers, right, and spend 6 figures on fertilizer, and then my net is, like I get skinny for a reason. So how do you do shit, right, and let nature do it, and let time do it, let all the shit do it? Just like, hey, that works. Let's just add a little bit of creativity to the system and let them all just times a million. So it is a tea brewer to brew whatever, like the commercial guys, right? They'll throw NPK shit in this and just hyper oxygenate it so it just NPKs their shit faster. Yeah. Whatever, you could do that too. So a tea brewer thoroughly mixes your chemicals or your whatevers together and makes if you think about a vortex, like in your bathtub when you flush the toilet, whatever, think of the surface area, a 3-foot circle, right? Now punch a hole in the 3-foot circle, 3 feet down. You could literally stick your arm in the middle of this thing when it's spinning to the bottom and not get wet because it's a hole. Mm-hmm. So you now have 12 square feet of surface. You got a 16 or 18 square feet of surface area or some shit like that instead of like 4.5. So, and it's all moving. And the commercial ones use electric pumps to pump the water through, right? So you got impellers. So if you're trying to do anything living, when it goes through the impeller, it gets burned or sliced or chopped or killed. And then you got dead bits floating around, which is great for farming too, because everything lives on the dead bits. But if they don't die sooner, if they die when you want them to, you can grow so much more of them. So this air hose right here is a high pressure hose to just an air pump, right? So you got a drain in the bottom. Water goes both ways. Right before it goes uphill again, you put in a brass fitting and inject high pressure air. The air goes up the tube, and when it flunks itself into the container, you put little 90s on so it goes in a circle. So you're just helping the vortex start, right? Sucking it down the bottom, out the sides, up the thing. But the water just rides up on bubbles of air. So when you throw a nylon stocking of worm castings, a handful of your natural near forest, dump a pint glass of unsulfated molasses or some other sugars in there to give the little creature some go-go. In my climate, I chuck a fish, 300-watt fish tank heater in here so I can keep it 75 degrees or so. But down there, you guys are grow zone. So yeah, we plug her in, we let her run for 24 hours or so. We'll know. It'll get all white and frothy, just right? It's all the life growing. And we stick it in whatever. You water with it. I stick it in high-powered sprayers, right? Mm-hmm. Spray it on. So if you inoculate your fruit trees with that before they set bud, when the leaves come out, and at the end of the year, basically, if you've known anyone who's ever grown mushrooms, right? There's fungus in the air all the time of all things. Once you got a sterile substrate, something's gonna grow on it. So the thing is, if you put the good thing on the trees directly first, the bad things don't have like places to lock in because the space has already been taken.
Okay, I got a question. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
We're
Sorry.
gonna foliar feed it. You're gonna wait until hot day, end of the day, just as the sun passes. We're gonna spray all the foliage, and the plant is going to absorb it straight into the plant.
Yeah, and you're gonna
you're gonna get a lot more benefit out of it than even watering it.
So yeah, when you look for foliar feeders, when you're gonna go buy a sprayer, spend the extra money. The sprayers that do fogging, they actually get to like half micron particle size.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between a water droplet and a fog particle is immense. The surface area touching the leaf is like times 100. And if you say you were a nasty farmer and you were going to spray death juice on the bugs, and you use a sprayer versus a fogger, the sprayer particles are so big, the bugs just dance in between the death juice and they don't get wet. So a little soap in when you're going to spray it through the fogger, and then fogging it puts whatever you're putting on it on every part of the plant.
How bad? So there's a question here we'll get to, because I think this is for you, that question. But how badly does that clog if you have crap in your water, the fogger?
You got to pre-strain it. I mean, so that's why when I put the stuff in mine, I use an old stocking, like a lady's hoe, and literally just hang it off the side so when the water splashes in, it just runs the thing around and it doesn't let the dirt get into it. You can make these as fancy as you want, right? It's 1.5 inch PVC, so you can building this again, probably putting a hose bib in line real low on the thing.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a. We've not met before. I'm Billy.
I love your stuff, Billy.
Oh, thanks, man. I got 2 questions for you. Number 1, who's your inspiration for that, for your device there? And also, can you tell me again what you intend to put in that thing? You said compost, or was it casting?
Okay, so we fill it up with rainwater. Well, yeah, because I'm a natural farmer. I'm a permaculture farmer. I don't spray. If I can't drink it, I'm not going to spray it on my shit. So I just put rainwater in it, and then a lady's stocking with a handful of worm castings. You organic from a bag, or if you got your own worm farm, a handful of local soil from hopefully some under some trees, forest soil in the stocking, right? 1 pint glass, so 20 ounces of unsulfated molasses. You can get gallons at Costco for $9. Or like I think horse people got that. Yeah. I'm not big with animals yet, but I think don't go buy it at the grocery store is what I'm saying. Yeah, you just need sugars, and I don't want refined sugar getting sprayed on my stuff. So unsulfated molasses. Yeah, you just you're creating an auger, right? It's just sugar water for the bacteria that you chose to put in here to go. And worm castings are the shit.
Okay, are you bringing that out there to the Self Reliance Festival?
I'm not bringing this one. I'm going to stop by the last Home Depot and pick up all the parts. And that is my demo. I'm going to just build one on site, and I'll sell it for the cost of the receipt of the parts.
How long does it have to brew before it's ready to applicate?
It's all based on temp, right? Stuff grows exponentially faster. So if you can keep your water 80 degrees, you're probably 12 hours. If you keep your water 70 degrees, closer to 24. It's just you want to spray when you have maximum life, right? Because you've created the most amount of creatures you're going to create. Then they start predating on each other. You're going to kill them and spray them anyway. So
the fastest we can make it happen.
No, we're going to do it at your thing. I don't know when you scheduled me. I haven't looked at that yet. If I'm doing it Friday, we're building this thing, then we're going to fill it up and do the thing right. We're going to turn it on. Then Saturday we're spraying.
I'm just wondering, well, there's just there's part of this conversation I guess we got to have offline, Was your
Oh yeah, or spray it on some test grass. How about mark out some grass in your field?
No,
That's what I do for the hippies out here with that have the salmon stickers. I like spray their front lawn so they don't have to have ChemLawn do it.
No, it's all good. It was just one component of what you're using there that I don't know is going to work out well for what we got going in the food forest. I mean, I like what you're doing there. It sounds like a great idea.
Or just take leaves off what you're doing. You know, whatever's healthy.
No. If there was just one little thing, if you're okay with it,
change whatever.
I'd like to change.
What do you got? Come on.
Well, because we're looking for a fungal mix, and when you put molasses into something that's intended to be fungal, it's actually feeding your bacteria. Now that can absolutely work, but in what we have set up there, it's going to be fungal dominant. So what I'd like to do is bring a little mixture that I put together. It'll be fed with essentially fungal food.
Perfect.
But the only thing I'd like to do, if we're gonna use it in the food forest, I want to keep it exclusively fungal. Whereas in a garden or something like that, we would want it a little more bacterial. I'm sure you understand all this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you're in charge of the trees. You use it how you want. I'll have it done by Friday early or whenever.
It's a fantastic idea. I do my version of it, but yours is a much more advanced version of it.
I just saw how much these cost to go buy because I was like, okay, I need one of those, and then I went to go buy one. Holy fuck! They're like $900 to $2,000, and they're ridiculous. It's so much shit you don't need.
That's why I can't wait to see this thing in action, because what you're describing there is really a game changer in terms of how these things, because you can't even touch a commercial one for any less than thousands and thousands, and it sounds like you have a much better version of it.
My cost is free.
I just want to see it in person. I'm excited about it.
It should greatly speed up the comfrey team.
Oh, it's anything you want to just make stuff grow. If you got people around to like helpfully do it on a schedule, just poof. I get lazy. It just sits in the corner sometimes. But
I'm seeing who's lurking in the green room right now. We're talking about rum in the comments. So, whoops.
Make rum out of it.
Put our healthy hats back on. Anyway, so there was a question earlier, Brian, that I think you could probably talk to because you're also in the crypto world. And David Willis was asking about CBDCs. What are your thoughts on centralized digital currencies?
I thought that was a CBD question. I was like, sweet, go to my website, cannabinoidnaturalfoods.com.
Talk about CBD if you want.
No, I'll talk about them both because they're both, Mike Squatch Fest has Squatch Talks, like TED Talks. There is a reason that Anthony Samaroff, the man who wrote the book on UBI, was the first Squatch talker. For a reason. That book's been out for 6 years. It's the funnel. He perfectly described the funnel that would happen. We're here. It's now. Hold the fuck on. Right? How better to manipulate everybody, right? Make the pricing so fucking insane that you have to like beg for relief. I think a hippie duck farmer talked all about this, how it's going to go down, right?
Yeah.
Beg for relief, get the other side of the fucking clown show back in the show, right? Give the relief out. Oh, except now. See, if you go back and listen to my episode 1, crypto from cell A1 on the Excel spreadsheet 1 second before Nakamoto's hand hit the fucking key. Bitcoin timeline doesn't change. It won't ever change. It won't change for anybody. It doesn't care how you feel about it. It is on time. And it is not even started to steamroll shit yet. Its timeline will not change. It's mathematical. It will take over all. It will crush them all. The only thing the governments can do at this point to have even a fucking prayer, their fiat is dead. If you don't follow Mark Moss at all on some alternative media, he's an alternative economist who, he's a trader. You got to take his stuff for what it's worth. But when he shows graphs and charts, they're from fucking published sources. The gold run is on. The fiat legacy is dead. when Nakamoto hit the button and started the clock, the governments had to put in electronic currency on a timeline that was no longer their own.
Yeah.
So
So I really think the debate about is CBDC good or bad is worthless to us. When I look at the shirt that John Willis has on today, it's one of those things. Unfuckwithable. I'm just going to always sing that song when I see that shirt. But it's going to happen. So what are you going to do to prosper through that? That's a more important question.
So, Brian, when the CBDC comes in, are they going to ban cash? I think that's the plan, right?
yeah, well, I mean, they need cash too, right? They run all the drug operations. I mean, they need pallets of cash.
Yeah, good
They got
point.
they run. I mean, how do they fund all that bullshit? They
think
fund
that-
it with black shit, and they can't run their black shit either. So
I think
yeah.
people will become so, the CBDC will be so simple, just like using social media to communicate. We have
Right.
become lazy. We have no attention span any longer. So they'll just turn people's shit off. I think that's another big aspect of it is with your social credit score, we just turn you off and now you can't go to these places any longer. In a lot of places, you're already seeing them self-govern themselves. Starbucks, no cash. How long till Walmart? I mean, you saw Walmart say no cash during COVID.
Oh, I went off on them the other day. I pulled out a bill. I was like, hey, look, you motherfuckers. It says right here, all debts, public or private, except in your fucking store. Like, who do I give this goddamn money to? Like, no, I don't want to be scanned for whatever. Here's my money. Oh, yeah. No, it's there. We're there. Yeah.
So no matter which side of it you're on, whether you think it's good, bad, indifferent, you need to have that conversation. How are you going to do commerce? And you might want to try and delve into that now before it is a mystery, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's great to learn because the one thing they doesn't look, I can't see how they're going to take over Bitcoin or take control of Bitcoin at this point. It's like a horse that got out of the gate too fast. It's gone too far. So why not learn how to use it, how not to lose it, how to back it up, and have a little bit of it somewhere so that if the centralized currency turns you off, you have an underground economy that you can operate in.
Better
That's-
yet, have a lot of it in multiple different places.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Chicken Joe and I just had our first strategy meeting. I'm like, okay, we've been taking this for enough time now where we got to think about, like, it's the coming down's coming down. Like, how are we going to, like, you know, where to put it? Third party, you know, three keys, any two, got to have separation. You can get grabbed. Hey, I mean, getting grabbed in the future and a gun put to your head for the fucking 12 words is a real thing.
Well, it's already happening.
Right. So if you don't ever have the 12 words, it might be a better thing.
What 12 words?
Yeah. Or 24 words or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, starting to think about securing your own shit, but don't be afraid of, yeah, you're right, good and bad, right? Light and dark. Don't try to be out either. Just ride it, right? Things are what they are. That's why I changed my car when I did, right? They're like, hey, we are telling you, we are going to make it hurt to drive gasoline shit around and move around like that. So I can be pissy, or I can say, hey, I've destroyed this fucking truck. Let's go upgrade, but I'm gonna, like, get the thing that will get the fucking job done.
Man, I'm looking forward to meeting you. Man,
Yeah.
back here.
He roasts some pretty good coffee too. So we're gonna have 2 coffee roasters at the event this time.
I bet
Yeah,
I don't think he's gonna be roasting out there, but
I gotta close. Okay, so I'm closing out these shirts. Well, it took me like 5 years to have them made. I saw him at a Fish concert in Chicago, but I couldn't get over the wall to the dude whose shirt it was to find out where he bought it. I'm a horrible artist. Horrible. I can't even draw stick figures. It's bad. So I finally was on my 3rd artist, and this gal down in Portland just nailed it. Oh, Entheogenics Medical Division 420 on the front, so it looks all prim and proper, and you get a lot of first responder thank yous. And then they turn around and they see the back, and it's the oh yeah, fucking A. Oh yeah, it's my drug war. Oh yeah, it's my drug war vet shirt. So yeah, I'm closing out the Desert Tan, $20. I'm bringing everything I got. Can get one off me in the parking lot. They start great conversations though. Great. So yeah, I quit corporate bullshit life. I gave up the biggest building in the. I had the biggest office. They came in one Monday morning after a board meeting, and there was literally the telephone sitting in the middle of the office, attached to the wall by the cord, because it was my fucking furniture. They had never seen a board member evict themselves. Oh, I was like, yeah, I wasn't fucking kidding, guys. So yeah, you know what? I started to grow weed to like work with cancer patients, because Washington State made it legal, right? The man hadn't yet, still fucking hasn't. And I was sitting in my little home office like 4 weeks later that I built for myself, that I was just in love with. And I remembered Spearco just fucking railing that day, just going off about not being a pussy. Boom. Oh, my ex came home. I was like, baby, I'm going to grow weed for cancer patients. And yeah.
Now she's your ex.
Like 6 months later.
Let me point something out here for anybody who needs to hear. Last event, the state troopers were out here kind of rousting goers. They escorted some people here, but they also fucking stopped some people here for what looks to just literally be harassment, right? Just kind of fishing. So anybody listening, be aware of whatever Tennessee state laws are, because local law enforcement, they brought in extra law enforcement from state. So just watch that. We're on a highway here, and they will be present. Just know that.
Don't bring shit with you.
Yeah, and don't drive drunk. I mean, you shouldn't drive drunk anyway, but, you know.
So, yeah, they're fishing.
If you have a few on site and you need to stay on site, that's why you can sleep on site. Absolutely no reason to have to get a DUI while in Camden, Tennessee, and you will. Okay, Josie asks, because we're getting short on time here, Brian, I'm going to bring our next guest on soon. So you can use the brewer to increase exponentially whatever beneficial biology you are after, depending on your project.
Exactly. It is just a brewer. If you're an NPK nasty farmer, you can brew nasty shit. If you're a good farmer, you can brew whatever good brew you want.
But see, that's what I don't understand. What you're doing there, if you're a typical NPK farmer, you're not worried about biology in the soil.
No, but that's why they don't use airlift. Their pumps are all like big, huge mechanical pumps, and they're like doing injection of like like when they get their customized mixes that are liquefied, like for your big batch and putting a little bit of zinc and your little bit of whatever.
Yeah, but
whatever.
The way we roll, and I'm sure from what I'm hearing you say, the way you roll, that's why I can't wait to meet you. I mean, man, I'm sitting here listening to you talk, and I'm captivated, and I can't wait to meet you. This is the kind of people.
Here, you got to see this shit. So that's a giant fig tree. I got about 300 figs off that already. I sell them $1 a piece. They're the only aquaponic figs I know of in Washington.
Wow.
Yeah. I haven't fed those fish in there ever. Never. That's let's see. You got that's an avocado tree. That's a Myers lemon tree. That's some test on some. This some test on the aquaponic comfrey. It's going kooky. That's only been in there about 3 weeks.
Yeah, my aquaponics comfrey is there because it's the canary in the coal mine. If there's a nutrient deficiency, the comfrey will show immediately in the leaves. I'm not happy. So I have one in there, and it is like a huge bush now that has clogged up my bell siphon, so I got to pull it out. But it
doesn't do good at bell siphon.
It does a great job. It does a great job. So, okay, Brian, anything you want to say before we transition you out? I don't think I have any more questions.
No, buy tickets, pass it on, go click on the like, and then copy. It's in the description down there, and go spam up every group there is. I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm driving it from Seattle. Come on, get in your car, people. New York's like what, 12
we have
hours?
about 50 tickets left, so.
Oh, okay. So it's a scramble.
No. So definitely, let's go sell the rest of them. It makes our
Go.
lives easier, right?
Go. Yeah. It's a festival, and now we're gonna have some music, right?
Yeah. I'm going to be
Oh.
singing with Toby and Annie. Then they're doing a set, and then Tess is coming in. Tess Damona did a great video yesterday. I think it just came out, a vlog about her experience taking Fighting Pistol at Tactical Response. And here's the cool thing. So we're in Camden, Tennessee with this festival. Tactical Response has classes going. You can come to the festival and do a class and improve that like self-defense sort of skill. And they're going to be at the event speaking as well. So they'll be there to talk to. But I'm kind of excited about that. Like, you can make a week of it. You can go to the Land Festival. You can go to TAC Response and take a class, and then you can come to Self Reliance Festival, and it's all right near each other.
Wow. What about a plan for the spring to coordinate some, try to make that a circuit? So somebody might be on vacation from a longer way away, could make a little 10-day run.
Yeah, and then if you're looking for land in Tennessee, you can go house shopping there. So I had one more question real quick for you before I bring Stephen on.
Shoot,
and that's not it. Interested in your thoughts on humic compost to add into the Vortex brewer.
I use what is laying around me or I can grab for free. I don't buy anything. So if I had humic stuff that I could just grab really around for free, I would. Yeah, not opposed.
It's unnecessary. Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, Brian. I mean, if we're doing this at John's place, I guarantee there's nobody that's going to make anything better that I could buy than what I can source right there at his property. And I think you would agree.
Yeah, I want to follow you around when you're doing that.
Awesome. Great. Well, Brian, thanks for being on. We'll see you in just a few days. I am going to bring our next guest on, and this one is we're going to be talking about an uncomfortable question. If shit goes wrong and you got to walk 10 miles with a 40-pound bag on your back to get out of that shit, can you do it? With that, we're going to bring Coach Stephen on from SHTF Fitness. Hey, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's really good to see you here. It's a lot. Last time I interviewed Stephen, I was interviewing him from my car, and he was very gracious about a lot of technical problems. So today we're set up on computers the real way. Tell us a bit about what you're going to talk about at Self Reliance Festival, Stephen.
I am going to try to red pill some people straight up.
Yeah? What's that mean?
We're going to talk about your lack of fitness, your lack of preparedness in that regard. I'm not going to pull any punches. We're going to get real. I met a lot of fine folks at the last Self Reliance Festival, and it was a great time. But there are also a lot of people that struggled to stand up.
He was like, John, you're kind of chubby.
No, John, look those guns on John. John's getting the gun. Plus, your badass gym in there, dude. You're gonna have to. We're gonna talk gym because actually, right now,
it's the best clothes dryer there is.
But yeah, I mean, we're just gonna get real with it and see if we can't change some lives, because I feel like that's the prep that no one talks about. We're all very consumer oriented in America, and all your stuff isn't going to do you a lot of good if you have to flee your house for some reason, if you are chased out of your house for some reason, right? I mean, and the three of you could probably think up a lot of better scenarios than me about why being fit and healthy and strong would be a boon if the balloon goes up or the shit hits the fan, or whatever terminology you want to use, right?
Well, I can tell you an example of not SHTF why some level of fitness, and I am not the fittest person on the earth. I am working on it. I had a medical incident with a sheep, with a ram actually, and I had to take a gallon of just a gallon jug of mineral oil, 1/10 of a mile down the road, and then straight up the side of this mountain. And that's not an insignificant walking effort, especially when you get to the, it's Tactical calls it a 60% grade. It might be more like 40, but it's super steep. And a lot of people would take 10 or 20 steps and have to stop. and 10 or 20 steps are well, meanwhile, I've got a ram up there who might die if I don't get my butt up there. So there are just normal things that happen every day, and that's normal for a sheep farmer, but normal in the world where you may have to run to your flight to catch it, or just those sorts of normal things. And I was glad I was able to get up there.
Yeah, certainly. And I'm amazed at so I predominantly train people in person in Indiana, and I'm actually in the process of opening my own gym right now. And a friend of mine's gracious enough to have me here right now. But I'm amazed at the amount of people that will come in and start with me, and they have the most ridiculous injuries. I stepped off the curb and twisted my ankle, and it sets them back for a freaking year. And ultimately, it's because they're vastly overweight. They have no balance and coordination, and they have no strength. And these are all easily preventable problems. It really doesn't take a lot of effort to increase your balance and coordination. It's really pretty simple. And and then these people suffer for a year. And then what's the other thing that they do? Well, I'm going to go see the orthopedist. I'm going to go see the doctor. And, the orthopedist's weapon is surgery. Their hammer is surgery. So everything else is a nail, right? So, you got to have surgery for that. Well, a lot of times you don't. There's a lot of corrective exercise strategies and chiropractic strategies. They're very effective in helping people. And, but no, they got an MD behind their name. So
lifetime of chemicals.
Lifetime of chemicals, lifetimes of alterations, surgeries, and the outcomes of these surgeries are freaking god awful. I know I'm going on tirade right now.
Do it. That's why we're here. We go on tirades. It's what we do.
It's not just big people either. I mean, it's just you look at a dude and you're like, oh, that dude, he's not obese, he's not overweight, but I mean, you put 10 pounds in each hand, he can't move a mile with it. Imagine if you had to farm without fuel, because I mean, most prepping, right? That's what most preppers at the beginning, we're looking for the end of the world. And, you've got this idea of what you're going to do for work in the end of the world and how you're going to produce food. You might want to try that shit before the end of the world. Like just turn the electricity off in your house for a weekend and go do yard work with no fuel. See how that shit goes for you.
Yeah, certainly. Yep. I had an eye-opening experience just recently. I had a barn installed, and I'm urban. I'm not a homesteader. You guys are doing the thing, and I love it. And you guys are educating me all the time. I don't know shit about any of that. But so I'm having a barn put into my property. I'm clearing out this patch that's just overgrown. And I got 2 trees there, and they're not very big. And I had access to a chainsaw. I could just cut them down. I said, you know what? For fun, let's see how much effort it takes to chop these trees down. Well, one of the little ones, I get that thing down to 3 axe swipes, no problem. The other one kicked my ass. I had to actually rest in between and then go at it again. But it was a great experience because just like John was talking about, like I hadn't actually lived that out before.
Yeah, if you
don't
watch
know how much effort it's going to take.
If you watch a lot of how some of the old timer approaches to chopping down a tree, you'll have 2 people chopping from 2 sides. Now you know why.
Exactly.
Coach, what's your source of motivation? The reason I'm asking, from a personal note, when I was at the last Self Reliance Festival, I said I was going to get in shape. Well, then I was doing a live stream with Nicole and John said, look, I'm going to paraphrase, but he basically said, dude, you show back up here looking like Jabba the Hutt, I'm going to dog you out in front of everybody. The second we got off that live stream, dude, I was putting foot to bed. You don't know it, but I'm up in these mountains. I'm down 20 pounds. And because nice. I know full well that he'll do it if I don't bring the goods. What's your ridicule works quite well on me, but what do you use to motivate some of the people you're working with?
I find that I don't like the term motivation, right? Motivation is fleeting. So what I try to instill in my clientele is habits. Okay. You're going to build the habit, and exercise becomes a part of your lifestyle. As you can be motivated, like, hell, you'll be motivated after, speaking with me right now, right? You're going to go exercise probably tonight, tomorrow. Well, that might last a week. And afterward, you're going to say, well, life happens. I've had a rough day. I'm a homesteader. I exercise, just living every day. And that motivation is gone. So it's more important to dedicate a time and first just be honest with yourself. And that's what I'm going to go with in one of my side Johnson on the talk. at SRF is be real with yourself. How much time can you dedicate to exercise? Start there. Then, okay, how many days a week can I do that? More is better, but be honest about it. And then build it out from there, just like you're trying to structure anything with your business. And that's going to lead to success rather than just waiting for when you're motivated.
You know, one of the best pieces of advice I got when I was at the most unfit I'd ever been in my life, and I walked into a CrossFit gym, which I know CrossFit gets bad raps for injuring people. This one was very good at not injuring me. And I was traveling all the time. So you're exhausted when you take a flight and you get somewhere, and then you're working the whole time, waking until nighttime. And the coach is like, listen, all I need you to do is give me 10 minutes a day while you're out of town. I will send you workouts you can do in your hotel room. Make the 10 minutes happen, or you're never going to get over that. And that was helping me establish the habit, no matter what, do something every day. And that was one of the corners that helped me change some pretty bad habits.
It's not just doing this farm work, though, because honestly, some of the worst people in the worst kind of shape, Bobby Spags on here could vouch for it, are some of the people in the homesteading world. We knew a guy in the Kansas City area that basically ran the preparedness group over there. And I'm not kidding. The dude was at least 500 pounds on one hoof. And
scooter with oxygen.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
This dude was every bit of 500 pounds. And we went on a ruck march one day, and it was only like a 5-mile march. The dude hit the ground, nearly fell off a cliff. And I mean, that's a whole story unto itself. But just having this lifestyle doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy. I mean, I walk mountains every single day, but if I'm still not putting the right things in my mouth, I mean, it really doesn't stand for much anyway.
We don't have to find time to eat 3 times or 6 times a day. You just, I mean, use the food as a reward. I want to eat donuts, so I work out, and then I eat meat, and then if I still want the donut, I'll eat the donut. But I mean, I still eat like shit, but I just have movement incorporated in there.
Don't you just hate him, Nicole?
I do, because if I eat like shit and work out, I gain weight.
No,
So-
you just have to work out. Like I see somebody saying, isn't pulling weeds out of clay. We pull weeds for an hour on the property here almost every day, myself included. And it's different, right? Yeah, pulling weeds, bending down, you're doing squats, body weight squats, maybe lunges and stuff, but go sprint now, right? Go just pick out 3 phone poles and run as fast as you can. It's just different workouts. It's just different cardiovascular versus, body weight stuff.
Right. And your body's always trying to reach a point of homeostasis. So if you're homesteading every single day, your body gets accustomed to what you're doing every day. And then your caloric demand is going to meet that. So long story short, anything beyond, you're going to have to go much beyond that to actually get some kind of stimulus enough to make your muscles adapt to that. I don't know if that makes sense.
Jump rope and farmer's carries and wheelbarrow. I mean, there's a ton of stuff we can do that literally doesn't cost anything.
Coach, do you have an opinion on what's become popular lately, like some of the fasting and intermittent fasting? Is there a strategy to put any of that in here, or do you subscribe to any of it?
Intermittent fasting is extremely powerful. It works really, really well. That's something that I do every single day. I will stop eating at 8 p.m. every night, and then I won't eat until 1 or 2 p.m. every day, and then make sure to wrap it up by 8 p.m. Keto obviously works really, really well. But what I've found with people, especially women have a harder time with the ketogenic diet because they don't like smashing a bunch of meat like us guys do. So the ketogenic or the intermittent fasting rather is a lower barrier to entry, but still extremely effective.
I mean, I like smashing some meat.
Well, you're a rare bird. That's
I was just out of town and we had to eat out, and my mom kept suggesting restaurants with bakery and sweet in the title of the restaurant, and I kept saying no, but do they have meat? And so finally she suggests one called eggs and toast, and I said, but do they have meat, or is it vegetarian? And finally we found it. I was like, literally all I'm going to do is order breakfast sausage sides. So that's what I'm doing when we go there. But I think that was a hard thing to learn how to do, because we've been taught you have to have like your carb and your vegetable and your meat, and it all has to be balanced. Nope, you start with meat, and then if you're still hungry for something else, I do eat it. But yeah.
Coach, I got another question regarding that. In that eating window you have there, do you pretty much eat as much as you want, or are you still rather regimented, or are you pretty fastidious about what you eat within that window?
It depends on where you're at in your journey. Personally, my first meal of the day when I break my fast is a ketogenic meal. I make a 4-egg omelet every day, and then I have broccoli with something to dip it in that doesn't have any sugar in it. And that's meal one almost every single day. And then the second meal, my dinner, anymore, I eat pretty much whatever I want. And I can still gain or lose weight just by modifying that, and I still feel really good. Now, when you first start it, I would just recommend sticking to your normal diet, because again, we're trying to create habits and not stay motivated. So the easier way to do that is to change one thing a week rather than trying to overhaul your entire freaking life in that week, because it's very unmotivating. It's difficult for most people. Some people can just go ahead and do it. But after a week or two of that, a lot of people say, hey, coach, I can't do this anymore. This is shit, because they haven't actually made that a lifestyle change and made it a little more sustainable, a little easier to drink.
Yep.
But the intermittent fasting is really huge. I mean, I feel way better doing this way. And this is the only dietary intervention I've seen always work. I've seen a lot of people fail keto, not because keto is bad. Like, we know it freaking works. It's just people have excuses. People don't do it correctly. They eat too much cheese or whatever, and then it doesn't work. And then they blame the diet and they get frustrated and they never want to do it again. But since intermittent fasting is both so powerful and easy, I mean, it just works like gangbusters.
So now we have a question. What is keto?
Keto is high fat diet. So you're switching your body over to running off of ketones rather than glucose. So your muscles store glucose, your liver does too. It fuels our system, and your mitochondria use that for energy. So ultimately, you're changing your body to, rather than run on glucose, it's going to run on ketones, which your brain generates through your fat. Very long story short. And if you ask Dr. Ken, he'll give you a much better explanation than me.
Well, so at Self Reliance Festival, Dr. Ken Berry will be back. He will be talking about the proper human diet, which is a ketogenic diet. He actually has a scale where it kind of goes through paleo all the way over to people who eat grains. And he's like, it's a spectrum. So you have to find where your metabolism is on the spectrum. But rather than do sort of the big presentation from the stage, which always takes several hours anyway, we're gonna have him talk a little bit from the stage and then move off into another area for a more intensive workshop, because a lot of the questions that come up are about specific health conditions as well as how to do it, because it is a dramatic change from the typical American diet to go ketogenic. And then we have Judy here saying a truth. Keto is easy if you eat real food and stay away from all the food labeled keto. So the other thing is, if you spend your keto journey trying to replace bread or tortillas or all of these other things, it's a lot harder to stick to than if you simply reframe your mind to eating meat plus a little bit of vegetable, preferably of the green leafy variety. And that's super easy at that point.
It's high fat, high protein, almost no carb. Almost.
Almost.
And your carbs need to come from fibrous carbs like broccoli or greens, something like you said. You know, there's no bread in there. Like there's not a time when you're going to have bread. And a lot of people fall off by putting sauces and all kinds of bullshit on there. A teaspoon of soy sauce is, a carb. So when you're piling that on there, that's where most people that say, oh, I don't lose weight on keto, they've never been in ketosis.
Right.
Yeah.
And just like Judy said, there's now, of course, the marketing gurus of all these big food companies have figured out, oh, we can cash in on this keto fad, right? All right, what's going to make some keto bread? Well, it's more fibrous, so then they can say, well, it's low enough in net.
It's one carb, and it's 1.99999 carbs per serving, first of all. And yeah.
And then calculating your net carbs and all that stuff, not only is it a giant pain in the butt, but it's not going to work for you. The keto is not going to work. You're not going to be low enough in carbs. Most people are going to have to be beneath 35 grams of carbs a day to stay in ketosis. Well, that's just a little bit of broccoli and maybe a salad, and that's it.
Yeah. It's easy once you get in the habit. And I know when I transitioned the first time into keto, I did use some of those crutches. So some of those, it was the tortillas were my problem. The fake tortilla or like palm heart pasta. But I did that for a period of time while calculating carbs with an app, which, as you've said, is a huge pain in the butt. And then I realized if I just don't eat any of those things, it's a lot easier. But it took a little while, and you kind of go through this toxin dump as part of it. And I think knowing that's coming and getting through that's really important. Like they call it the keto flu. You don't feel great. You start getting giant zits as your body lets go of all these toxins that were there. And then I had some joint pain, and then that went away. And now if I eat wheat, I get wheat knee. So, it turns out that causes inflammation in my body. So I don't know. I get very excited about it. We're in the middle of a keto challenge for Self Reliance Festival right now, Stephen. I didn't know if you've been around to catch up with that one, but sometime mid-August, and it was on with Billy Bond. We were on, and we both admitted with Toolman Tim, I guess it was Toolman Tim actually, we admitted we'd kind of been eating dirty keto, which means gaining weight. And so we put it out there. Anybody who wants to join us in going strict keto between August and Self Reliance Festival, report how many pounds you lost. You don't have to tell us what you weigh. We're going to celebrate what we've done. So I know he had lost 30 pounds last time I talked to him.
I know, just talking to Coach Stephen here, honestly, he confirmed something big for me. I didn't want to poison the well by saying it, but honestly, this intermittent fasting that I've been doing seems to have had even better results than just doing keto straight up. I'm finding now, I switched mine a little bit different. Maybe you tell me if I'm going about it wrong. Whereas you said your last meal of the day, you eat pretty much whatever you want. Well, in the first meal, that's kind of what I do. And then the last meal, I have maybe 6 o'clock. I eat at maybe noon, and then last meal at 6. And I feel like $1,000,000 until I eat again that following day. And then I find out that if I clean that up a little bit, I get a good steady flow of energy. I'm actually starting to put on muscle. I'm losing weight. So it's not so much the scale as much as what I look like in the mirror. When I get down to the birthday suit, am I looking as hard as woodpecker lips, or, do I have it around the midsection? I could go dirty here, but I won't. But the point being is that this intermittent fasting, or there've been some days where I haven't eaten at all, and I still felt great. So I guess there is something to that. It was like some doctor said a while ago. He said Jesus, Confucius, and Buddha all agreed on one thing: the benefits of fasting. And now it seems like I'm starting to you kind of confirmed what I feel. And I have been doing it. And since I got over that little hunger pang thing, I just can't imagine eating any other way.
Oh yeah. Once you get used to fasting and getting the increased energy and the better like mental sharpness and acuity. Oh yeah. And a lot of times the intermittent fasting and the keto will go hand in hand, because keto is great at curbing hunger, right? So you're controlling your insulin, you're keeping your insulin low. And that's one of the main drivers of hunger just in general. So if that's low and you're like, oh, I haven't eaten lunch yet, so what? Well, then it's easier to fast for longer periods of time. And then those just help dovetail each other. But the fasting in and of itself, like you've experienced, is huge. And I like to explain it just like from a more like evolutionary standpoint. I mean, only in this time of human history have we ever had access to food all the time, anytime you want. Hell, now even some African dude can like drive your fast food to you. You don't have to get off your own ass to go to McDonald's. Some dude will do that for you now, right? Like, how crazy. So we're not designed to have insulin in our system all the time from eating all the time. We're not designed to eat all the time at all. We're designed to go long periods of time without any food. Evolutionarily, we'd have to go out. The guys would go out, hunt something. Hopefully they'd get a successful kill. And when would you eat it? Well, usually as the sun was going down before you went to bed. So that's the best way to think about eating. And those, you can get away. This depends on who you ask. And this is kind of a side jaunt. But a man, anyway, can usually get away with eating additional carbs at night before bed, even though a lot of people will say this is not good information. but you can get away with more because your body's going to use that to produce more hormone, and in this case, testosterone, when you sleep. That's when you're making all of that. So you can actually metabolize a lot of that carbohydrate. Another time you can get away with it, even though I think it's a bad idea, but it's an old bodybuilding trope, is right after a workout. But if you're doing keto, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. You just want to stay fasted after your workout.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I don't want to dominate the conversation here, but it's funny you mentioned that, is that every time I did eat later in the day and I did put some kind of carbs in there, I did sleep pretty darn well. And it wasn't the other way when keto was my or, all meat or whatever was my last meal. I don't sleep so good. So I guess you just kind of answered another question there.
And that leads me into, you want to get good at intuitive eating. Like, the keto is an awesome scaffolding. Intermittent fasting is an awesome scaffolding, but ultimately you got to figure out what works for you, right? You might have certain allergies to certain foods. You can't get super religiously regimented on this stuff, okay? Because ultimately, if you cannot sustain it for your lifetime, well, what freaking good is it, right? Then it's just another diet, and I hate that freaking term diet, because the connotation there is that you're going to stop doing it. You're going to see whatever results, and then you're going to go back to eating donuts with John, and this is not going to work out very well for most people.
Last Self Reliance Festival, Saturday morning, first question out of John's mouth to me was, "Where are the donuts?" And he kept asking me like every hour, "Where are the donuts?"
People brought me donuts. I put them in the dumpster.
So know that, guys. If you bring donuts, they might end up in the dumpster. Yeah.
I'll eat one or two of them like right when they get here, but I'll throw them away. Like, we don't.
Yep. Cool. Well, anything else you wanna pitch in, Coach Steven, before we sign off? Have we made you think about anything weird today?
So I appreciate it.
What'd you say?
I said I'm just loving the questions from Billy. So I don't know if the audience has any questions, but
yeah, I haven't gotten it. All I have is that John likes donuts.
No,
here's a good one. No one tool is good for everybody. So
right, these are all just tools in your war chest, and exercise is the same thing. That's another thing that people can get really regimented about, is, okay, well, this is my exercise program, I have to do these things. And one of the things I'm going to teach at Self Reliance Festival is looking at your exercise program as a scaffolding or a structure, and being able to play with what's in there and still getting all your bases covered. So say, for example, you're doing, back squats that day, and you do your proper warm up, everything's going okay, and it just feels like complete ass that day. Your knee hurts and you just can't get anything, it just keeps hurting, more load makes it hurt more. Well, let's do another squat pattern, but maybe something that's a little less axial loaded, a little easier on the knee, so you can still get the benefit and not, crush yourself into a potential injury.
Yeah. What are a couple of things that an active person can do at home to build endurance and strength?
Well, there are a lot of good bodyweight exercises. I have some bodyweight programs. If you shot me your email, I'd be happy to send it to you. It's not that big a deal.
If you only offered coaching services.
I know, it's a shame. But yeah, you go up to shtffitness.com or shtf.fitness and just shoot me an email. I'm happy to help. We do coaching. Your main implement, if you're working at home or if you're too far away from a gym, is going to be a kettlebell. That's the king of all instruments for exercise. Or you can make a sandbag, and we can get a lot of this, same stuff going. But at some point, you're going to need some resistance. So bodyweight exercise is great. You can use your body as a load, but eventually it's not enough, because again, your body gets used to doing that. It's wanting to always reach a point of homeostasis. So the thing that people get wrong with exercise, and this is why I don't know if you guys in Tennessee have like the F45s, the Orange Theories. Is any of this ringing a bell? Eat the Frog Fitness. There are all these really big boutique style gyms that are in all these bigger cities. Well, they'll work for maybe a month. Okay, that's great. Well, then they shortly thereafter stop working because they've got 10-pound dumbbells in there. And that's it. It's just designed to train a bunch of people, get them to sweat, and get them the heck out of there. But you need a progressive overload in order to see results long term, because your body's always trying to reach a state of balance. So you always need a beer challenge.
Yep, that's true. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you at Self Reliance Festival. You want to say anything before we sign you off?
Just check me out, shtf.fitness. If you need any coaching, we'll hook you up. Or if you have any questions, just drop me a line. I'd be happy to help you out.
Awesome. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Bye. We got one more guest today, guys.
Yeah, that's cool, man. You know, one thing, it's funny that, you know, we were just talking to him, because if you look behind me, those woods over there, I've been doing kind of a derivation of what I guess to a certain extent, I kind of disagree, because I need that level of regiment. Like John, like I learned from him, where if I don't lift in the morning, then all day long, it's going to be like a monkey on my back. If I don't make that the first thing or one of the first things I do, it's going to be a problem. And then there's the fear of not getting it done at this point, because I know I'm going to feel like a loser if I don't have that win under my belt. So what I've been doing on like cardio days is I go over there the day before I'm going to do cardio. I'm over there chopping wood in the woods. And instead of using any kind of vehicle to get it out, I'm carrying it out to the porch where I'm at. So I'm like, okay, I'll do this for 45 minutes and I'm going to do it as fast as I can. I'm going to carry that, or maybe I'll even use a wheelbarrow. So you can overlay. So I'm getting firewood that I need for the winter at the same time, getting myself a pretty bomb cardio workout, sweating like a runaway slave when it's all said and done, and, you know, accomplishing 10 things. But I got to have that level of regiment, especially on lift day, because if I don't, it's too hard for me to not, then I'm going to replace it with things that probably shouldn't be replaced with. Like I said before, I never had an excuse for never brushing my teeth. You're never going to catch me with another excuse as to why I didn't work out.
Well, I mean, I think there's a difference between what he means by regiment and habits, right? So for me, the morning routine is key to my success. And what I organize happening in the morning in the order it's in is how the rest of my day goes well. And when I vary from that, then I'm screwed. And if one of those things is exercise is in the slot for the same reason, so it gets done, that's great. If I don't exercise in the morning, it's a 40% chance it'll get done at that point, right? But that's why the thought of the walk even started, because I knew if I didn't walk first thing in the morning, then I wouldn't do any exercise the rest of the day.
Well, I'm finding myself also like this morning. Got up early, like we always do. We're farmers, so we get up early. There was one little thing that took me off my routine, so I didn't work out before. But then I'm like, okay, man. I mean, people can use this however they want to. I just keep putting it in the back of my head. And Michelle reminded me too. Now she's a person. She works out like nobody's business, and you know she's just built that way, and she's a hard worker. But she was like, she said it to me the other day. She says, when this Self Reliance Festival is over with, you're not going to go back the other way, are you? You're not just doing this to avoid John talking about you, are you?
No, because there's another Self Reliance Festival coming
in 4 months. Where's Michelle training at?
She trains right here, man. I'm telling you what, man, she'll go run in town, armed, of course, because you never know what fool may come jumping out of the woodworks. So she runs in town. She runs up and down this mountain. She works out. We got a gym. I mean, nothing like what you have out there, but she bought a kettlebell, and now she's working on that. But now she's had to adjust her diet because she feels like she got entirely too thin. And so now those red beans and rice been missing her. So now she's been replacing some of that stuff because she feels like that she's like, okay, now I've crossed over to the point where I'm no longer strong. And now I'm getting weak because I'm way too thin. I'm like, all right, pack it on, baby. But, you know, she's got more curves than a goat pass, man. She'll put it in all the right places.
Yeah, she's a beautiful woman. That is for sure. You guys will see her soon. Okay, our next guest, our last surprise guest of the day. This has been fun, like rolling people through here. We should do this more often. We got Spags Unfiltered.
Hey, hold on. Kill that guy.
What?
Not Spags, the spammer in here. Knock that guy.
Oh, there's a spammer. Sorry.
I was like, come on.
Like, why do I got to kill?
He's lucky that I literally can't push a button that kills him.
Like, Bobby, what did you do this time, man?
I don't know. Everyone
What's up, man?
wants to blame
He's
me
having
for
a-
things.
Yeah. Sorry,
Is my video real choppy for you
yeah,
guys?
it is for some reason. It's like your internet's, Anyway, maybe turn off your I don't know. Is he frozen completely?
No, I see him.
It's been freezing for me.
Yeah.
For you
We're having a problem with
guys
Spags.
for quite a
Spags,
while now.
log out, log back in, see if that fixes it, and we'll vamp.
Maybe it's that spammer that's doing something, man. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but this.
He'll be back on another account here in a second.
I know he's been hitting John every time.
Is that
I watched you guys contend. It's like the same name that was on Billy Bond's channel the other night when you had John on.
Well,
So-
Billy blocked him on his account. That's how he still has the accounts to pop up on this feed.
Yeah. So
I got no access to the guy.
that's okay. I blocked him everywhere. The blocking wasn't working. So Spags, can we hear you now? No. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do.
I see him.
Let me
now.
try to go to my phone, see if that works.
Yeah, or we turned your video off. Yeah. Yeah, he was choppy on Billy's too. All right, guys. Well, while we're waiting for Spags to come back on, Spags is coming to talk about he's been a really empowering person in my life since I met him. And one of the things we talked about a couple weeks ago was cross-promoting our events, because they have an event right before Self Reliance Festival called the Midwest, what is it? Midwest Prepper Meetup. Is that what it is?
I think that's what it is.
And so he and Life Done Free, so Tag from Life Done Free. In fact, if Spags can't get on Tag, do you want to come on if you're still listening to this? If so, write in the comments and I'll email you the link. They've got a festival right before this, and we started talking and we're like, why don't we start doing these more in collaboration? Because there's, we can overlap the Midwest with Tennessee. It's not that far away, and we can do a lot of fun stuff. So that's why Spags was coming on to talk about that. So we'll get to that, but I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about while we wait for him? When is spring our SRF, John?
I don't have a clue. No idea.
I know you got some.
Is there not a winter one?
Planned.
Well, here's my thought is that we do last week of March sort of thing. I think we're out of the ice thing then, and then October, and that the other event is a alum only sort of thing. So that if we do something in the winter, it's alum only. It might be a little bit smaller, because if we do get an ice storm, it's going to be crazy. So that's kind of what I was thinking about. I don't know. What do you guys think of that idea?
Yeah, that'd probably be good. Then we can put bodies inside more if we need to that way.
Yeah, like cots in the garage if needed.
You know what
Well,
else is
no, not that. I mean,
Not
just more people inside.
Yeah.
What else is cool is nothing else is going on then. Every homesteading festival, every there's very few festivals of this type that are going on in the dead of winter or anything like it or anywhere thereabouts. Things don't really start kicking until about April.
Yeah. Yeah, and my event here is the last weekend of April. So if we kind of go last of March, that gives 4 weeks in between, so I don't lose my mind. I'm kind of like, do we do March or do we do May? March or May? May, the oven starts turning on. I think June was a bit warm, so I don't know. But it was Amanda's birthday, so that was fun.
Oh,
Midwest
yeah.
Preparedness Project. Joshua, thank you. What's the website for that? I'll throw it up there. Throw it in the comments.
See, that's another cool thing about that freesteading.com is that we could be able to coordinate our events, because there's a lot of events that are stepping on one another that they don't have to be, or maybe they're in too close a proximity to one another, to where I've had people reach out and say, look, I would love to go to both of them, but they're spaced out at just a time.
Yeah.
I can't take vacation day to hit them both. So through that freesteading.com, I'm hoping we can coordinate in the future our events a lot better to where we're not stepping on one another. There he is.
Is it working now?
Yes.
You're live. Hey, Spags, tell us who in the world you are and why you're here.
Dear Lord, it doesn't have a trigger. I don't know how to work it. I have no idea what was going on. Sorry about that.
Did you reset your whole internet connection?
I reset everything.
Yeah. That's
So
sometimes
thanks for having me, by the way, now that you can hear me.
Sure, no problem. So talk to us about the Midwest Preparedness Project and all of that stuff. What are you guys doing there?
Yes, next week, actually, September 28th through October 2nd, we're putting on the Midwest Preparedness Project. It will be a 5-day event. The first couple of days generally are for the hardliners who come out with their RVs or tent camp for a few days before things really kick off. The real meat and potatoes is going to be on Friday and Saturday. We have 6 classes and workshops across that. We have a handful of special events. One's called Barter Town. No cash allowed. Everyone sets up on all these different picnic tables and they put all their stuff out and everyone walks around and does this kind of, Barter Town exchange, for a couple of hours. We play the conflicted card game around the fireplace on Friday night. There's going to be a seed exchange, all kind of cool stuff like that. And we give away a whole bunch of prizes at the end of the day on Saturday. You can buy opportunity tickets to get these prizes, and then all those resources go back.
That's a good name for that.
Yeah.
Opportunity tickets.
Gaming commissions.
I am stealing that. 100% stealing that for next week.
They're opportunity tickets,
Yeah.
Because you can't say the dreaded R word in a free society, apparently.
No, you can't, because that would be scary.
Right.
The crazier shit is it will be somebody in attendance that will want to make a big deal about it.
Oh,
everybody
right.
wants to fucking tell on everybody.
Well, yeah. Well, we live in a society where being a narc or a rat's become encouraged.
It's.
Yep.
Imagine how their life's going to be if society does collapse.
You're not wrong.
So Tabletop Farm says, I wish I could be 2 different places at once. So do I. That's why we've been talking with Spags about not doing this to each other next time so we could work together.
Yeah.
But it's, if you can't get to Tennessee and you're in Kansas, then it's right there.
Right.
The shorter drive.
Northeast of Topeka by about 20 minutes. It's up at a place called Perry Lake.
Yeah.
That's a pretty nice lake too, man. We used to hang out there before. I know Bobby from way back, y'all, and he knows I'm telling the truth about that 500-pound dude.
Dude, you said that earlier, and I'm like, oh, God, that happened exactly real close to where we're going to be doing this event. So,
yeah, I was there for that. In fact, dude, I remember that dude was so filthy. You can ask William if I'm lying, dude. When he hit the ground, you could literally feel it in your feet when he fell and about went off that mountain. Yep. Me and Boone got a hold of him. I grabbed a hold of his leg, and I washed my hand off in Perry Lake. My hand smelled like hot garbage for 2 days straight. You could not wash off the funk that was coming off that guy.
You've ever seen those videos where they cut down an old cedar tree and the tree falls and then the yellow dust just kind of sits there for a minute, then it falls? It was kind of like that.
I never seen anything like it, dude. And then they were wanting to feed everybody. I was like, dude, I'll chew off my arm before I eat anything coming up out of that cooker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not keto.
Okay. Okay, Spags. What is Spags Unfiltered, by the way? And what's that all about?
Oh, it's just my personal brand of bullshit. It's my YouTube. I have a website that I'm in the process of developing. I've got a few t-shirts out there. I've been in the preparedness community for over 20 years. And I used to have a business here in Kansas called Kansas Prepper Expo. Well, that was during the Obama years. And then the word prepper got taboo. So we switched it over to full spectrum preparedness, and then that became taboo. And then 2016 hit. All of a sudden, everybody stopped giving a shit about being prepared for anything because they thought the Great White Hope had showed up. And then 4 years later, everyone's scrambling again, and I'm kind of just sitting here like with Billy, like, well, we've been here the whole time, man. So that's pretty much what Spags Unfiltered is. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm probably going to offend you, but you know what? When you get offended, at least your brain's doing something other than watching Dancing with the Stars. So screw it, get offended.
Getting offended is great because it's an emotional message that you should look at what that person is saying and decide, is it actually offensive, or do I have do I have some sort of a blinder on
Right.
that I need to examine and ask myself critical questions? Because it's very easy to just toe the line on freedom and all that stuff, but sometimes it's good to ask why, and is this really true? And that's something that it's a habit we all fall into. You shorthand by going to the talking points, right?
Well, sure. I mean, there is safety in being part of a clan or a tribe, right? It was so much easier when we were all lockstep Republicans or Democrats or whatever the hell we were. Once you divorce that mentality and become independent, it changes everything. And then all of a sudden, everything becomes offensive to anybody else around you who used to be in your tribe. But I prefer a non-safe life. I like the dangerousness of freedom.
Yes. Freedom is dangerous, and thinking for yourself is more dangerous. Okay, so we're going to be nice about this. So Callie is saying they want you to compost your dead to grow food. Billy, would you eat food composted from human compost?
It's funny. I covered that in the Permaculture Pimpcast, that very topic last night in our episode that came out last night. And what's curious is that Charlton Heston movie, Soylent Green, came out 1975, and it took place in 2022, and they were essentially making Soylent Green out of people. So here we are, 2022. So you basically have, if you cash in California, I guess you can be put in a mausoleum, you can be put in the ground, you can be put in the furnace, and now you can be put in the garden. And I mean, as far as the level of depravity and how far this stuff will go, I do not know. I mean, we're probably eating humans right now every time we drink a Coke. I mean, who even knows? I mean, the extent to which this depravity has gotten can only be healed by the crucible of hard times. I mean, very famous authors have said this over and over again. Sadly, I think we're going to get there eventually. When, I don't know, but I'm ready for it no matter how it comes. At least I think I am. But when it comes to this whole thing of composting people, I really don't. I don't know where the bottom is. I really don't, because where's the dignity in death? Go to any. If you doubt what I'm saying here, and Bobby, I'm right when I say this, because you're a soldier too. If you go, I worked at Leavenworth Hospital, VA hospital. It is falling down around itself. They couldn't give two dead flies about those veterans coming in and out of that place. Go drive a quarter of a mile over to the cemetery, and you'll realize, just like at Arlington and every other national military cemetery, they care more for the dead than they do the living. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of, everything is dressed, perfect rows, not a weed there, manicured beyond imagining. Looks like a French garden. That should stand testament to anybody out there that thinks your government cares about you.
Who still thinks that? I mean, realistically, at this point, who the fuck thinks that?
Not anybody on this screen, but there are some kickers and scratchers.
I would say read the article for yourself. There's a lot of prepper channels, and all they do is read you a snippet. You'll notice they'll put up 10 5-minute videos a day, and it's very sensationalized. And if you look at them, they're all just making the same video the other guy made. And then when hear like Jack Spearco do the video, he'll actually read it, and you will find that it's actually mostly bullshit. There's some fragment of truth in there. And one of the guys, it's like playing telephone. The first guy says something, and the other guy has to take it a little more until finally the third, fourth, fifth guy makes the video, and there's no facts whatsoever in it. So I'm not in California. I don't care what California is doing. I left California. Do whatever Cali's doing. Like we grow enough shit here that we don't have to fucking care anything about what California is doing.
Correct.
Why do you think anybody would still be left there? I mean, with all the weird stuff
going on. It's a trip, man. Every time I say get out of California, people lose their fucking minds. And it's people that are watching the videos where I'm saying it, right? I can say that. I came from California. I lived there for 30 years, right? I don't care what you do. But when people ask, like, it's not survivable.
Right. And that's what you're going to find at the Midwest Preparedness Project is we don't have anybody come in and give classes that it's what I call prepper porn. It's the idiots who sit there watching The Walking Dead and thinking that they're prepared. Like, you're not going to get that with us. You're going to get real practical stuff about real practical things that are going to save your life. And it doesn't matter if the issue is the Illuminati and Godzilla coming down with reptilians dressed like Hillary Clinton. It doesn't matter if it's that or if it's just, a rolling brownout and your electricity goes out. It's going to be practical shit that's going to save your life in inclement weather or at the end of whatever you think's coming. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's kind of like that channel on YouTube called Sun. Every video they show from the Ukraine-Russia conflict, it's the same video recycled a million times just from a different drone angle. And you realize they're just repeating the same thing over and over with no actual substance, but they get a million views. So yeah, we got to move past that nonsensical prepper porn stuff and actually get into the things where reality is being talked about and real world solutions are being offered.
It sure is funny that people that talk about this stuff on a regular basis, like you and Bob, like Bobby and John, where you guys, or John even mocks it with the panic prepper thing, which I think is hilarious. Awesome. And then Bobby, you talk about it a great extent on yours, but it sure is funny that you guys don't, you guys I know are suppressed, especially John. But it sure is funny that these others, the bellicose ones that are out there, the sky is falling, boy, they sure get all kinds of promotion. But the ones saying, hey, take a step back, think this thing through. Does it make sense? Like John was saying, is it something that is really dogma instead of fact? Now, that thing regarding California, by the way, I read that article and I saw Gavin Newsom's response to it all. So it looks like it's in the work. I mean, there's no two ways about that. But by and large, I see exactly what you're talking about, John. People take this stuff, they run with it. Are we in dreadful place in this country? Probably. Almost certainly we are. But I'm not adding one day to my life by worrying about it. I'm well past that. I mean, Don't start no SH and there won't be no IT. Bobby, and I know you're all about that, keeping it real and worrying about. In fact, when 20 years ago, you were preaching the same thing. Your message hasn't changed at all. You were never one of those guys saying, well, like the 500-pound guy we were just talking about.
Yeah.
You were always the guy that walked the talk, which is why I always dug you from the word go. And by the way, your beard tickles.
Oh, yes. My beard. My whiskers tickle you, baby. Oh, God. Thank you, Billy. That means a lot. You've been a good friend of mine for a very long time. But yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think the reason those other channels exist and they have millions upon millions of subscribers and millions upon millions of views is because, quite frankly, they work for the other side. They're spurring on a shit economy right now. And if you can convince people who think they're preppers or think they're homesteaders or think they're freesteading to just buy shit and stack it on a shelf in their basement, never to use it because they want it in pristine condition for when the shit hits the fan, then guess what? You're part of the George Bush era of, oh, we just got hit by terrorists. Go buy a fucking SUV and go to Disney World. That's how we do. That's how we defeat the terrorists. It's that same mentality. It's the commercialization of crap that spurs the bullshit economy that's not even real. So that's why they're still here and why John gets suppressed. And John's a capitalist. He sells a million things. I mean, dear Lord, I am a disciple that worships at the altar of SOE gear. I have 4 micro rigs myself, but he's not selling you crap, right? All these other folks who are like, oh, here's this 19-in-1 tool that can, do everything from check your anal temperature to the barometric pressure outside, and everyone buys it because someone on YouTube said to buy it.
It's an addiction, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to belong to something, and most people don't belong to things in real life anymore. So you can get on the YouTube channel, you can get in the Facebook group. I mean, how many times do you see in a prepper group, I have $15 to spend. What should I buy? You shouldn't fucking buy anything. You should turn 15 into 1,500. And it's the mindset, because you can get the endorphin release as though you've done something, but without having to actually do it. And a lot of it can take place in that 8 hours that I don't have time for, that 8 hours that you're not at work and the 8 hours that you're not asleep. They're sitting, they got the laptop or the phone while the television's on and, whatever it is they're doing, rather than being productive. And it's easy to fall into. I've said that forever. We could take those same videos they make and just literally remake word for word. I can transcribe it out and read the same thing ourselves and do the exact same thing.
Yeah, Ben's asking how to donate to the prize table, Spags.
You can email me, BobbySpag79@gmail.com.
Yep. And if that's for SRF, you can see Mama Sauce at the Hollow Roast booth.
Hey, Bobby,
We've already got all the prizes for this year, but we're putting on shows next year. So if you donate at this point, you'll be a 2023 sponsor.
Bobby, you said a moment ago a term that a lot of people, and I love that you and I think Tag invented it. I want you to go into it a little bit more and explain exactly what you mean, because there is a distinction between, and I think there ought to be, between freesteading and, because you mentioned that a second ago, and homesteading.
Sure.
What are those distinctions?
Well, I think this all started years ago with John, actually. He made the comment, I want to say it was like 3 or 4 years ago, that all prepping should lead to homesteading. And a bunch of us who followed him way back then took that to heart. And, a lot of us shifted that focus. A lot of us who had been in it for a while started preaching that shift. Well, now we have freesteading, which is moving past homesteading. It's not only being a homesteader, which instantly puts you into the preparedness category, but freesteading starts to remove all those thumbs that are shoved on you by the current paradigm we operate under. So, yeah, Tag from Life Done Free, by the way, great channel, great dude. Him and I are actually really good friends. I consider him to be one of my mentors in life. He's taught me a lot. But the idea is, okay, if the utility company has something over you, become utility free. If your mortgage is over you, get mortgage free and become debt free, operate with as little over you as humanly possible. And that's the concept of freesteading, which is why those guys and myself and a few others started freesteading.com. It's a alternative social media website you can go to, and you can be you. I have my own area on there. I know you, Billy, do. I know Nicole has gotten onto the site as well. And we're only going to build it. It's going to have a marketplace and a bunch of other stuff coming, tiered content and whatever. But it's going to become a place where you can move past even just the homesteading, because if you're homesteading but you're in debt, you're still in danger. Even if nothing ever happens, even if the super volcano never erupts, if you're in massive debt, you're still in a lot of trouble. So that's the concept of what freesteading is a place we can come to talk about moving past just the obvious planting tomatoes and things of that nature.
Is there an app for that yet?
The app is under development.
Nope.
It's still just a website right now, but right now we have some folks that are working behind the sines. Tag is one of them, actually working on building that app.
So is it an online forum?
It has forums on it. It's actually kind of a Facebook clone. It has a feed. It has groups like Billy and myself are both community leaders on there. You can actually join a community leader group, and that gives you direct access to these content creators where you can ask them direct questions and things of that nature. We're working on putting in a marketplace. After that, we're working on just more and more stuff as it goes. The thing is, unlike, Zuckerberg and all the rest of the adrenochrome junkies, we actually have to spend real world money to do this. So, we're having to build it incrementally as the population of the page progresses. But I want to say right now we're right about 9,000, maybe a little over, maybe a little under. I couldn't say without looking, but we're right around 9,000 people already on the platform.
Yeah. And I get more interaction there than places where I have a ton more followers, because people see what you post.
Sure.
I love one of the many things I love there is the fact that it has a calendar, because this thing where because we don't have a central place. Believe me, I'm not about centralization for the most part, but it is helpful when you have a calendar on there, when you can say, okay, I want to do a festival. But like Nicole was saying a minute ago, there's a whole lot of people, Bobby, you and your group included. There's a whole detachment up there, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, that would love to come out to the Self Reliance Festival. And it's the other way too, where I was planning on going to yours, but we got this overlap.
Sure.
So we can avoid a lot of that when we have a calendar of events on there, and we can schedule these things where we can marshal all of each other's people, and we can cross-pollinate with other groups. And that's exactly what we got to be doing. That's why I'm so hot about this website. But I also want to speak real quick. I love the evolution that you and Tag, or mostly Tag, has made from homesteading, because there's a whole lot of in-debt homesteaders out there. Have no fear on that score. I love the notion of freesteading, and I love the evolution of where it's going and what you guys are standing for. That's why, when I found out it was going, I had to be on board, man. I'm thinking this thing answers so many doggone problems that we have. And I just love the transition, because it should be freesteading. not homesteading, freesteading. It's not. It's like that one homeless guy. He was homeless. His name is Freeman Fly. He was living on the street by choice. And they said, "Well, dude, how do you feel being homeless?" His response was, "I'm not homeless. I'm home free." And there's a difference. There's a big difference, and I think you guys are providing it.
We're trying to, and like Nicole alluded to, and you alluded to, this way we can all start to coordinate with each other so that our events stop overlapping, because a lot of us have been established in our own little respective corners of the world, but once they created this website, now we can all join our forces, right? And we can be like, okay, April is for this and May is for this, and we can all kind of work that sort of thing out behind the scenes, and that way people can start. I'm a big duck hunter, right? And one of the big things in waterfowling is called the highway flyway, where you start up in North Dakota and you follow the birds all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. And if you're really rich, you go into Mexico and hunt them there too. Well, we can do the same damn thing, right? Like, we can create this culture where all of our little respective regional areas create these clusters, and then people can start, all year long, follow the trail, go back and forth, coast to coast, north to south, whatever, Appalachia to Rocky, if you want to avoid the coasts, whatever. But we can make it where everyone has the ability to start participating in so much more of these events that aren't just, commercial bullshit things where we're trying to get you just to buy another magazine or something.
So Tabletop Farm said fear is one of the easiest ways to control the sheep. I agree with you. And I think it's even way beyond that, right? If you operate in fear all the time, you're going to have, it's almost like you can't operate in positivity if you're operating in fear. You cannot achieve a higher level, and you cannot, whatever it is you're meant to do or whatever it is you want to accomplish, you can't do that if you are programming yourself constantly out of fear. You're not going to be rested. You're not going to have full mental capacity, because you are just, it's that fight or flight, constant. And if you're sucking off of that, you are becoming desensitized to it. You're not going to operate in the manner that you need to accomplish anything great in life, because you're constantly back there. I do it. I listen to Pinball Preparedness and Southern Prepper and all those channels. I did it for years. I would every day see what's being said, right? Oh my God. You know what would happen if you turn that shit off? Turn off all of it. Don't watch any of it for 3 years. You know what would happen? You would have had a lot more shit done in the last 3 years. And if we really believe any of that's happening, I'm 50. Every day there was something that's going to wipe out the world. We just have access to the bullshit more, so we can see it from 20 avenues without having to read it in a newspaper or a magazine. So every day of my life for 50 years, something was going to wipe out the world. So if we really believe that that's accelerating, wouldn't you be better off figuring out how to make more money so that you can actually do something worth doing rather than buying a bunch of trinkets and bullshit?
100% agree, man. If half these people actually believe the things they claim to believe, they wouldn't be living the way they were now.
They would be doing fitness too.
Yeah.
It's free.
Or at the very least, a good chunk of them who are just really materialistic folks, they'd be in Vegas snorting cocaine off the tits of strippers. They wouldn't be out there with a compass and a Pharaoh rod if you thought the earth was ending in 3 weeks.
To point out, if we really believe the things that you're typing out there, right, and you're sending them to 20, 50, 100 of your friends, if you really believe that, why are you still paying your fucking property taxes?
Right.
Why'd you pay the IRS? Because you're not fully convinced.
Right. I agree 100%, man.
You want to watch some shit? Didn't one of the moons on Venus just crash into Venus and the planet's wobbling? Didn't it lose, like, some planet just lose a bunch of its rings?
I mean,
the answer is yes.
The answer is I don't know, but that sounds like something I do want to watch.
Yeah, that's
fascinating.
That's what I'm talking about. That's something, I think there's those of us also, and I think, John, you can also, I didn't always have that ability to be able to delineate between what was a BS and what was real all the time. And I was in that heightened state of, I can call it anything, but I'm going to call it what you called it. And truth is, it's fear. Foolish fear, irrational fear, like you said, that if I want to do, like I say permaculture is my passion, and it is. I mean, I live for it. I eat, drink, sleep it all the way. But at the same time, one of my other big passions is getting kids rescued from child sex trafficking. And what I learned from you is that if I'm going to be able to enhance my ability to do that, then I got to make money.
Yep.
If that's my passion, if it tears the life out of me to know that this is happening to these children, then like you told me, it's my obligation to be able to put as many of my resources, if that's what I'm passionate about, then I have got to make a living that pays for that. And that's the transition I made. So you can even take this stuff, turn it into anger, which turns it into productivity, at least in my case, and then turn it into rescuing people. So it's all a matter of how you use it. But there are too many. I mean, I used to be one of those people years and years ago where and I think it goes right back to that fear. If I didn't see my way out of it for the longest time, now that I'm out of it, I'm like, okay, man, you know, I'm done. I've done all I know how to do. Whatever happens, happens.
And there's an element of being entertained through fear that we have to admit is there, right? How many of us read Stephen King growing up or watched, you know, the Freddy movies or any of that stuff, Halloween, all the stuff that came out? That's because we get a rush when we feel fear, right? We get an adrenaline rush. And so you start seeking that out. And I think that's part of why so many people are drawn to the world is the constant world is ending. I think that's why Trump derangement syndrome exists, where, you know, I have friends who are so terrified that Donald Trump's going to get elected again that they're like literally freaking out right now. And that's
compared to what is happening right now. Who fucking cares? I mean,
yeah,
right.
It makes no sense. That's part of the reason we started doing the festival, accountability. So many of these YouTube channels you watch, you see this sliver, right? And here's where the panic prepper thing started. I watched this dude talk about how he was going to fill all these sandbags up, right? And he's like, I had all this sand dropped off to fill these sandbags. No, you're fucking lying. You had the sand dropped off because of the fucking block project. You have some guys building some walls and shit with over here. And then he fills one sandbag on video. That's all there was. I'm like, and then I watched one of the other channels that's been mentioned. He's like, you guys are going to need some outdoor cooking. So here's my outdoor cooking area because you're going to have to, you know what he had? He had about 10 cinder blocks, kind of in an octagon shape. That's all he fucking had. He didn't cook shit. He didn't show shit. And every one of these dudes, when you see them stand up, they're 200 pounds overweight. Like you're retired. You report the news with the slant that your audience wants to hear, but there's no actual accomplishment. There's no achievement. So when we started, like we had 2 or 3 parties during COVID, hundreds of people showed up. I'm like, Nicole, everybody showed up. All they wanted to talk about was aquaponics and garden and homestead and greenhouse and the pond and water catchment. I go, I think we should do something. There's something to this, right? I have a completely different audience. Let's mash them up, bring the shooters and the meat eaters with the homesteaders, and let's try to, you know, merge them. And somebody had asked about Bear. Bear's doing the shit. Like you actually see it. I know Bear. I've been around Bear a dozen times. Like I know the dude. He's been here for hours. I know Bear. And there's not most of those dudes doing those channels. They're not doing any. If the dude's not showing you the projects, he's not doing the shit. But he's the guy making the most content. He's pumping 10, 15 videos a day.
that's what he's doing.
Yes.
You know, it's funny John mentioned that because also that was part of the reason, like, you know, when we're okay, so I could talk all day about butchery, but, you know, until I got out there and did it, then, you know, people are putting their hands on it. Now we train some people that they may not be fluent, but they're at least conversational at butchery. You know, the last class we did, the swale class, you know what? There's a whole lot of people that are trained and feel like they're capable of putting in a swale. After this weekend after next, we're going to have a bunch of people that really feel like, you know, I don't know how many you said signed up, Nicole, but you take the people from the last class and this one, they've come there and they've become equipped. But going back to this fear thing where you said people have an addiction to it, I never thought about it that way. You're talking about like some of the scary movies from like the 80s and whatnot.
I mean, I'm sure they have new ones now. I just don't pay attention.
No, but I mean, you ever notice that none of these movies happen in a black neighborhood? You ever notice? I'm telling you what, A.T. rolls up in a black neighborhood, that story's going to be 5 minutes long, especially in the hood.
I'm sure that some of our audience is young enough that they never listened to Art Bell live, right? I was listening to Art Bell every single night. and it was Gordon Michael Scallion and the Ring of Fire, and all these volcanoes are going to go off, and a meteor's coming, and all kind, like, it's the same shit before YouTube existed. Like, I met Art Bell several times. We built gear for Art Bell. It's very entertaining. It's very thoughtful. Maybe there's some of it, like, we know some of it's there, right? But none of it's killed us yet. And if I'd never listened to Art Bell and I wasn't listening to this thing, I would never know any of the, like, the COVID shit didn't affect us here. It didn't affect us.
Yep.
Man, I miss the fear of peak COVID. March of 2020 was the best month ever because I could get on the road and go 90 miles an hour and there was nobody in my way, including the police. They just left you alone. You just kept, you got to where you were going quick. God, I miss that.
I have no idea who Prepper Nurse even is, Karen. I've never heard of him.
Yeah, I haven't either. Sorry. I'm not prepared to answer that question. I do want to just speculate on who and why the world is ending person who keeps spamming these channels is. Like, that's the same person who was on Billy's channel. Is that somebody who you pissed off, John, because they didn't get their order fast enough?
Well, the craziest thing is, imagine how miserable a person's life is that they have 10 fake YouTube channels just on standby to just talk shit. And imagine what little conviction they have that they won't use their own name. And typically that's because it's somebody that one of us actually knows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just a new one to me, that it's that involved.
Well, that just means you've unlocked a new achievement level. Is all that means.
Yeah, that's just crazy. I think I finally blocked all of that person's profiles on my account.
You'll have some more.
I know. They need a day to set it up, though. I mean, you got to set up the new email and verify it and get it all going.
Yeah, you just buy accounts. They buy them.
That's a lot of effort for nothing, though. I mean, Jesus, man. Can you imagine how much better your life would be if you took all that time and effort and put it into something like, I don't know, teaching your kids something?
Or like, I don't know, a fucking job?
Well.
Cooking meals from scratch tonight?
What's that? Hey, Bobby, hold it
10
closer.
minutes is all it takes.
Hold that thing closer, Bobby. I'm not sure if it is that who I think it is. Oh, Greta.
Get you.
That's my puppet I use for my shows a lot. Hey, how dare you?
We had her green screened. We had her green screened into a video we did a few years ago.
I got to ask, John, are you going to get any more Cockdozer stickers made? I've got to get one of those, but they're always sold out.
I don't know the answer to that. I'll look and see if I have any.
Yep.
Okay, here's a question. Is the local sheriff's department friendly to SOE and SRF?
I had dinner with the local sheriff a couple weeks ago. We are friendly. It is not the sheriff, though. It is most likely somebody else in government has asked the state troopers to come over. Yes, we're friendly with the sheriffs.
Yep. Okay, that's good to know.
I am outspoken in the community. For instance, today on a local Facebook group, we have all these people who have moved here from other cities, and there's this turmoil that we don't have bowling alleys and a YMCA and all these things for children to do. And I said, well, a YMCA is a franchise. You have to buy that. A bowling alley is a business. So there's a lot of good idea fairies here. You should probably take your money and run that as a business. The difference is when you click on most of the people having the conversation, they are welfare recipients. They are not businessmen. They are not even employed. So they've moved here. They've left a city for some reason. And now they want to turn this into what they've left. So that's probably a piece of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. This is a very important question. If you have a great radio face, is that a good pickup line? That's for you, Billy.
Honestly, I mean, that video I did the other day was more about it. Honestly, it was a result of, it was a conversation I had with a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, who basically is having a pretty tough time finding a good homestead honey. And so it was more of a joke than anything. I mean, it wasn't anything, but I understand you're joking as well. Look, y'all, I mean, the thing is, I better address this because I got a lot of emails about it. Look, I know there's a lot of lonely people out there, but I think John said it best at the, in fact, he said it a number of times on the live streams that I've been there. look, if you're waiting for some apocalyptic whatever to unfold before you go looking for somebody, yeah, you might have a whole lot of game if everybody's starving and you got a 50-pound bag of rice. That's foolish, though. Honestly, like John said before, go to the Self Reliance Festival. If these are where your interests lie, then go to the place where those women are likely to be. Like me and William were at the booth at the last Self Reliance Festival, and so I was joking with Nicole. He had a toothpick. He's like, "Yeah, look at that Nicole up there. You know her?" I said, "Yeah, I know her." He says, you gonna hook us up?" I don't know if that was the same guy talking to John, but he came over to the booth and had us rolling. And I said, "Well," and I was watching this dude. He never once. You were standing by the door next to the guy that had that two-story thing of hooch by the front door into John's place. He was sitting there watching, and then he walked away, went to the Porta-John, came back. Never once. I mean, you were kind of over there like getting out of the heat for a minute. Dude had an open opportunity to come up and say hi. I mean, he never did it. So look, if you're looking for somebody, y'all, go to the Self Reliance Festival. Go to Bobby's Festival. It's the most likely place you're going to find somebody.
If you want a girl that you're going to read scripture to and quote Bible verses, you should probably find a chick that likes the Bible. You probably shouldn't get her from a strip club. You want somebody that's going to homestead, you should probably go to some place where there's homesteaders. You want a chick that's going to go mountain biking and kayaking, go to REI and pick her up. She's going to have hairy ass armpits, but you might be able to get her to shave. Like, you have to go where those people are that have the interests. You're gonna be miserable trying to create the spouse that you want out of something that is not the spouse that you want.
That never works.
Nicole,
my answer, when they constantly ask, "Well, what about?" I'm like, "You married the wrong fucking bitch. You married the wrong one. Go get the one you want. Like, you married the wrong person." Lady asked me the other day. She's like, "Hey, I want to move. My husband's not. I want to go." You married the wrong dude. I don't like. That's the real answer.
What about from a woman's perspective, Nicole? How would I mean? Is it the same advice, or would you go about it differently?
Yeah, so I'm coming from a weird place where, yes, I am single and I feel absolutely no pressure to find a partner. If the right person comes into my life, then I will make space for that. But I'm not at a place, I think a lot of people are at a place where, like, I want somebody. And that's a totally valid want. I can understand it. Ask yourself why and why your current other relationships, like, how are those and why is that not fulfilling that hole? And maybe think about going to a psychologist and working through boundary issues or whatever it is, because when you get to the place where you're happy in your life, I think it's easier to find somebody else who will be a true partner to you, because we all go through ups and downs and we have to support each other. So so there's that piece. So I'm always like, I don't know. I want to get to know somebody, without necessarily the intention of anything until we know if there's an attraction there, great. But I won't get to know somebody who doesn't talk to me. And if you're too scared to talk to me, we are not compatible. If you are too scared to talk to me right now because I'm a personality, we are not compatible because I'm a strong personality. And I will need somebody in my life who, when I say some bullshit, is not afraid to say, "That's some bullshit you just said, Nicole." Right? Isn't that what we all need?
If you can't be the man that slays dragons, then you're certainly not the guy who's just going to walk up and talk to somebody.
You can't. If you're playing Dungeons and Dragons on the weekend, you're probably not going to walk up and fucking romance Nicole. Like, you got to be a strong motherfucker to even be friends with Nicole.
Wait a minute, you saying she's not into like the 27-sided dice? Like, you can't come
I
up
mean,
with, like,
I might
dice
play
collection
D&D. I give it a shot. I used to do it years ago, but yeah.
Bobby,
you can be a strong man and play D&D. I don't care.
Now, Bobby's into blow-up dolls and stuff like that because people are asking.
So here's what I'm from Camden, but it's been a while since I've been there. I guess it's homesteading friendly.
There's some serious people making go of farming here, small scale agriculture. I am always surprised when a person or two persons walk through the door, and I'm like, "What are you doing in town?" "We live here." "What do you do?" "Oh, we have a farm." what do you grow? And they rat like 20 damn things they're growing. Like there is property here. There is affordable property here. There's still dudes here that live with no running water. There's still old dudes that plow with horses here, and it still rains here, and we still have forests. Like, you can live well here. You cannot come here and get a job. There's no jobs here. You have to come with something, and you're not going to be able to scale because there's not people banging on the door to come work. We're literally one of the most impoverished counties in Tennessee, and people are surprised when they move here and we don't have a 20-plex movie theater.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what grows real well, John, out in your area that I noticed when I was there in June. Political signs. Holy shit, you guys have a lot of them.
Well, there might be more because we're going back into another.
You guys had a food forest of political signs. I was like, Jesus, how are people not rolling through here with 12 gauges like they do around where I'm from and shoot the stop signs and things? I'm like, my God, there's a lot of signs.
Because we don't have any real crime here. We have like petty crime and crackheads and shit.
Yeah.
So if there was kids rolling around with shotguns, the police would have actual real work to do. Like, they would be on that shit pretty fast.
Oh my gosh, that was a lot of signs though, man. I was like, God.
Tons of them.
Yeah, but what got me there is that they were expensive signs for jobs that don't pay that well. So it makes you wonder, what's the real motive there?
Graft. Why do, like, every school here gets repaved almost every time there's a major holiday? They put new blacktop down. Who pays for that shit? Where does it come from?
Grift.
Awesome. Okay, I have a question. I have a statement from Tori that I thought I wanted to talk about. I saw it earlier. I don't know if she's still on. She listens to my podcast, so she'll get the audio of this too. I ordered a pressure canner and have no garden harvest to can. So this year's been a hard gardening year. And when that happens and you're excited to can, it's time to go out and see who was more successful growing vegetables in your area than you. I do it all the time. I grow a lot of my food. I also spent about $150 on other farmers' surplus this year and put it in jars on my shelves because green beans in particular, didn't grow as many of those as I wanted. And I like having canned food. So Tori, if you want to use that canner, go to your farmer's market and see, I don't know, depending on how your season rolls where you are, there might be some people with some surplus that they'll make you a deal on.
We go into the farmer's market, Amanda and I, and I'm like, how much for all of your jalapenos? How much for all of your okra? How much for 200 pounds of peaches? And that's what we do. That's where we get a ton of stuff from the farmer's market, even though we grow it. What's up? Billy, you're a little bit pretty.
Oh, Michelle. Hi.
Sorry, I got roped into this. I'm not really sure why he just told me to sit down. So
let's see them guns.
I don't have any guns to flex.
I've seen them.
I'm working on them. Anyway, sorry to.
So what does Billy eat ice cream and donuts? What's the real deal?
Let me tell you the real story.
The real one.
He blames me because he says I bake. But I haven't baked in a long time. And if I don't bake, he goes to the bakery and then he gets whatever he wants if I don't make it. So that's the real story.
Can you have him bring some bakery here next week?
It's not even very good. I'm not even really impressed with that bakery. The best bakery ever is in Kansas City. Dolce.
There's some pretty good ones in Las Vegas.
Not too far from Bobby.
Yeah, what's going on? But you and I know the people eating at that bakery too.
No, that's true. But it's good. That's the best bakery. One of these days, I'm going to drive back to Kansas City just to get Dolce.
You guys should come back to Kansas City. We'll come up with something where you guys can come visit again.
Yeah, we should.
Big Al, what does that mean? There's false selling.
I think so. I know at my farmer's market that towards the end of the season, some of the farmers will go to the Amish and buy vegetables and resell them. And if I ask them, they tell me. That means that there may be pesticides on those.
Got it.
And then some will go to like wholesale grocery chains and get cases of cucumbers and stuff. So that's what that means.
Okay. Yeah, we always ask them, did you grow this? Most of them didn't grow it.
Yeah. That's what's really up at the farmer's market. Some do grow and some just resell.
Got it. It's still good practice for canning.
Yeah. I mean, so sourcing cucumbers without wax coating on them is really hard. Unless you get it straight from the farmer. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you want to ferment cucumbers into pickles with the fermentation process, that wax coating stops the bacteria from penetrating in and getting it done. No, don't leave. Anyway.
Thanks, honey.
We all want Michelle on more than you, Billy. That's where we're at this point.
She's definitely, yeah.
Look at him watching her walk away. You dog. Look at you.
Hey, bro.
Hey,
That's
girl,
good.
marry
That's
someone that
that's
looks
a
at
sign
you
of
the
a
way
good
Billy
marriage
looks at
right
his
there.
wife.
Yeah, I'm really excited because really she's the brains of the outfit in so many different ways. And we kind of forced her. William and I actually conspired to get her to come along with this, because what people don't realize is I may be talented at certain things. All of us have our certain talents, but she is wicked smart at so many more things than I'm ever going to have. And I'm glad she's actually going to be here at this, because William and I conspired to make it happen. And she was looking for all the reasons in the world to not go, until really Amanda kind of talked her into it. And until she met Nicole, when Nicole came here, because she's always thought, I mean, and I'm just going to be frank here, is that a lot of women within the homestead community, man, I don't know how to say this without coming off the wrong way, but a lot of them just don't. Nicole, Michelle, Amanda, and a number of other women that are going to be at this thing kind of look at homesteading, freesteading in the same sort of light. And she doesn't get a whole lot of exposure to those people. So I guess she had a little back and forth with Amanda. And when she met Nicole, she's like, okay, I think I might have found my tribe here. I'm like, I've been telling you this. So finally, she's going to get out here. And if we can get her out of her shell, she's going to knock everybody's socks off when they realize the full extent of really how much I'm a blundering idiot when it comes to guilds compared to her. So I'm glad she's going to be there for that.
Right on.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the things I love about Amanda. No bullshit and no drama. She's like, this is how I see it. I'm going to call it how I see it. End of story. And
guys want to
Yes,
email.
exactly.
They want to email Amanda's email rather than mine, because they think they're going to get a softer answer.
yeah, no,
You're in for a surprise.
that was the wrong move right
Those are
there.
still some of the greatest videos on the internet to this day, John, where you're where the folks would email Amanda and you'd put them on blast. Those were the best videos ever.
Okay, so Josie's asking, this one's for you, John. So if no one wants to work in Camden, is there a niche for someone who likes to work hard to come in and do whatever needs to be done reliably?
I think that works anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere at all.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
It would work in my county too.
Yeah.
Well, make room, man, because honestly, when I'm out there, I'm pretty sure that when Michelle sees it, because we were looking for a Western command, I ain't just talking here, man. I hope if any, nothing, that's one thing I love about this crowd. Bobby's been this way forever and a day. I don't just talk. I know that everything we've said we're going to do, we deliver, whether it's the swale, whether it's the food forest, whether it's the butchery. And honestly, we're looking for Western command, so to speak, because there's so much opportunity there. Other people may roll in there and they don't see it that way, but I do. So we're actually going to be looking for something around there.
Good.
Cool.
You should probably come on out this week and just spend some time here early.
Well, we
That's
got it.
great. Okay, so guys, I think it's about time to wrap up, and I think Bobby has another
I
appointment.
like how
coming
she just cut you off when you were about to make an excuse. Go ahead, Bobby.
up. Yeah. Well, I'm making Bobby's excuse, because otherwise he was just going to slip off the screen. Let's go runts around the horn and wrap up. Bobby, you start so you can just peace out on us.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. Billy, is always great to see you. John, you're a class act. You're one of my favorites. Nicole, I'm very happy I got to meet you. Midwest Preparedness Project, if you're in my neck of the woods. Self Reliance Festival, if you're in John and Nicole's neck of the woods. And when you all have a chance, go over to freesteading.com and get the fuck off fuck book.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Spags.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Billy, what do you got for us?
Hey, I want to talk to you and John just briefly when we get off of here. I know everybody's got things to do, but I wanted to hit you up about something. But hey, thanks everybody. It's always a joy to be here. I'm looking forward to the next Self Reliance Festival. And anybody that was wondering, you've been sending emails and stuff like that. Look, y'all, next year, 2023, if you want to be in any space I'm going to be in, look, we're basically the only one we're going to do is pretty much Self Reliance Festival. In my view, there's other good festivals out there, but there's nothing better. And honestly, that's where my tribe is. So if y'all want to see us, that's where we're going to be, as long as they'll have us.
Same. That's the only one I'm going to.
We already knew that.
I don't
John,
get invited to other ones. I think
you do.
people
You
are
get
scared.
invited to mine in April.
There's one like 20 minutes from here I don't get invited to.
Wow. Cool. Well, John, what do you got for us?
This is the shirt this week. We do a shirt every Monday. We do 120 pieces. They typically sell out overnight. We build nylon tactical gear. We're not the easiest company to do business with because we make the best product. We have a text app and an email app that you can get on from the website, soetacticalgear.com. I do a live video almost every night at or around 9 o'clock. And the conversations are similar to this. We can have a conversation literally about anything you want to talk about. So join in. We put up 3 to 5 videos every day on YouTube. I've got, I just kind of walk around with a camera, record a bunch of stuff, and I have a good video dude that kind of makes heads or tails of my bullshit. So jump on, and we do some homesteading stuff, and we do a lot of business advice stuff and business motivation, and there's something for everybody.
Yep. And when he says high quality nylon tactical gear, every time I find myself in a situation where I need to have a bag that is not one of the SOE bags, I'm wincing inside. And we're not going to talk about why that happens, but it does happen from time to time because I know that in another year I'll be replacing that bag. But like John Willis's toiletry item bags fit my podcast rig perfectly. So when I go on the road, I can put it all in that bag in my suitcase. And I don't have my mic over here and my mic cable over there and my recording box over there. And that bag's not going to fall apart, which is awesome. I hate having to buy things twice. It's a thing. So
heirloom quality gear.
Yeah, he's not kidding on quality. It's very impressive. And I didn't really understand until I saw it in person. And then I totally understood. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining the live stream. If you haven't followed all of our channels, please do that. We got Permapastors Farm, Special Operations Equipment, and the Living Free in Tennessee YouTube channels. I do a podcast 3 days a week, but now it's 5 days a week. That just happened this week. So that's kind of an exciting new thing at Living Free in Tennessee. I have an interview show. I hadn't been playing interviews for a while because we've been doing this show. Those are coming back. And then on Friday, I record a live homestead update show followed by Q&A. We've divided the Q&A out into other shows. So if you're a podcast listener and want to check some stuff out, that's livingfreeintennessee.com. Also, we are getting close on Self Reliance Festival tickets. So you should get your ticket soon. That's selfreliancefestival.com. Thanks so much for joining us. And we will maybe not live stream next week. That's a little up in the air because I'm driving to Camden on Wednesday. So John, I'll talk to you about that. And if we do live stream, it won't be at noon on Wednesday. So make it a great week.